Unholy, my name is Darken Graves, and you just entered the cemetery gates. And tonight we got a very special guest, founder of H.K.W, the Alpha Angel, Brian Mead. All this and more tonight on Enter the Cemetery Gates.
Darken has your number. I know because I'm buff, but Darken has the stuff.
Because you think you stand a chance against Darken Graves. Get real.
And well, it is I, the lyrical miracle, the sexual, intellectual, the cunning linguist, and the quintessential stud muffin, Joel. I told your mom I prefer her hairless. So that's why she shaves. And also she does it because she's in the cemetery gates with the unholy icon, Darken Graves Gertner. And for your podcast listening pleasure, after you've had yourself an eargasm, downloading and listening to my 69-minute eargasm, after you've experienced the extreme with me and Blue Meanie and Josh Chernoff on That Was Extreme, make sure that you download and listen to Enter the Cemetery Gates with the unholy icon, Darken Graves. Listen to that podcast, or else you're not listening to podcasts. Well.
Hey, what's up? It's Angelina Love and Darken Graves. I think it's about time that you and I get in the ring one-on-one and I can teach you a little lesson that I hear you need to learn. So, how about it?
Because you think you stand a chance against Darken Graves. Get real.
And all Darken's people said, "A fucking men." Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, he's been in the E-Fed game since 1998. Over 9 different Feds, he's captured 46 world championships. He's the founder and creator of Hell's Kitchen Wrestling, and he is the co-host of the Standards of Greatness Wrestling podcast. And, you know, I like to do this a lot. We're going to give you just a little dose of the Alpha Angel, Brian Mead.
Still right here, your H.K.W. World Heavyweight Champion.
Yeah, just sad. It's like somebody took 2 suicide notes and stuffed them inside a glitter bra.
Are we talking Sarah McLachlan song?
Sad, man. Just, damn, that woman has gloomy tits.
Professional wrestling industry can be summed up in a metaphor. The ladder of success.
Evan, you want to challenge me again? You want to ask me to step inside Hell in a Cell? Evan, I'll be honest, man. I've had quite enough of the Untouchables, of the Attitudes, and of you, man.
Still right here, your H.K.W. World Heavyweight Champion.
The ladder of success.
Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only H.K.W. founder, the Alpha Angel himself, Brian Mead. How's it going, Brian?
Hey, Darken. How's it going, man? It's great to be here.
Great to have you on the show, man. Man, Evan wasn't lying. You had the Jim Cornette thing going on.
Oh, thank you. You know what? I wasn't going to come on your show and look like, you know, some kind of slob, you know, like you
me.
deserve respect. You're a big name around here. You mean something around here. So I made sure to get my tie on, to get my nice jacket on, to come out here and show you the respect you deserve, you know?
I appreciate it, man. Is that a double Windsor?
Oh yeah, just nice one right there.
Nice. Very classy.
Thank you.
So yeah, man, we I did an impromptu show with Evan the other day, and I had felt bad. I had gotten some things wrong, and I was like, well, I want to have Brian on the show. Me and you never really talked. I don't think so.
Well, I'm not, and I don't want you to take any offense to this, because I really don't. The truth is, and we talked a little bit in the green room about what you want to talk about tonight. I was never about getting myself over, especially in EFED. Like, I have a real career, and that's what I focus on, getting myself over in, and getting up that ladder of success. And when it comes to EFED, so I had a lot of friends who wanted to do the things that I did, and I know that I've been very lucky and very fortunate to have some of the opportunities that I've had, especially with some really big names. And I wanted to give my friends that same kind of feeling, that same kind of opportunity, and to really know what it was like to work in the business. And so that's why I created H.K.W. was because I wanted them to get a better feeling of what it's really like in the business. And it kind of frustrates me with other EFEDs because I feel like everybody's about getting themselves over. And really what I feel like is if you really just focus on building up a company, if everybody as a group focuses on building up a show and not focusing on just themselves, the whole show gets over and you become a bigger star. Everybody becomes bigger stars together. And that's
Team
success
effort.
in a company that leads to other stuff. So that was always the goal with HKW. It wasn't ever to get me or Evan or Xander Shaw or Cameron Logan Lionheart or anybody else over by themselves. It was always to build us all up, to take us all to new heights so that we can all succeed.
A lot of people don't get that it is a team effort at the end of the day. And by the way, at the end, me and Evan was talking about this. At the end of the day, one of the most used phrases in EFED wrestling, I think we had said it 4 or 5 times, and we probably say it 4 or 5 times too here. But you didn't start right away in EFED wrestling. Well, you've been in since 1998. Mm-hmm. 2003, I was mistaken. 2003, you got started in the actual industry.
Yes. So in high school, I was really big into like graphic design. I loved, getting on Adobe and making, different picture things. Right. So I followed that into college. I was going to college, and my brother emailed me, who is the Apocalypse, if you watch HKW. He emailed me and said, hey, there's this local Fed that I saw on TV at like 11 o'clock at night on Friday, and Sabu is over there. And I was like, whoa, okay. And he goes, here's the URL for their their website. And I went to their website, and I've used this line 1,000 times, but it's 100% true. It looked like a 12-year-old threw up on MySpace. That's what this like real independent wrestling site looked like. And I emailed them and I just said, listen, I don't mean to offend you, but if you want to be taken seriously as a company, this cannot be the face and the image that you're putting out there.
This just cannot be.
Yeah, this doesn't work. And I ended up getting a response within 10 minutes.
Wow.
And the response went a little something like, listen, you dumbass little motherfucker. If you honestly think that your shit ass can do better, then go ahead and fucking prove it. Like, that's pretty much verbatim what the email said.
Who was that from?
I've gotten different answers on who exactly wrote the email over the years. I know it was either a guy named Quasi, who at the time was kind of like the direct second to the president, or it would have been the president or vice president themselves. It was definitely one of those three guys. And, you know, honestly, whichever one it was, I don't blame them, because I was a cocky little shit. You know? I mean, there's no way around that. So, anyway, when the challenge was, if I think I can do better, then try it, I spent about 45 minutes putting together a promo poster for their main event, which was called Capital Carnage in Lansing, Michigan. And the main event was Sabu versus X-Pac.
Right. Don't worry.
And so after I made that poster, I sent that off to them, and I got another response within 5 minutes this time. And it had a very different attitude. It said, that's a really nice poster. Would you be willing to come to Lansing on Saturday in 2 weeks? We'd like to hire you.
That's cool.
So I got in my car, and a couple of weeks later, I was in Lansing. First thing in the morning at a Fox television studio, shooting 4 episodes of their weekly program, and it was honestly very humbling walking into that locker room.
I bet so.
So on one side, there were guys who, keep in mind, this is 2003. Okay. Right. So some of these guys have not become anything yet. So I met Jimmy Jacobs.
Wow.
I met Chris Sabin. I actually told a story on the podcast a couple of weeks ago about how Chris Sabin won the X Division title in TNA. He ended up coming to the show. I saw him in the locker room. I saw the title in his bag, and he let me pin him to become the unofficial X Division champion for all of about 30 seconds before he threw me in a sleeper hold and made me tap out.
Wow.
So yeah, these guys were friends of mine. As a matter of fact, Jimmy Jacobs had a whole different gimmick back at that time. He wore these fuzzy boots. We all called him fuzzy boots.
Was that when he was like the lover boy?
Yeah, this is long before he got all dark and creepy looking, and wearing dresses. That whole stuff.
And it came out with a love song in ROH.
Yeah. I ended up seeing him a couple of years ago at a 7-Eleven, just randomly, and it was like, holy shit, how are you?
Great mind.
He's a good guy. He's a really good guy. Let's see. The Rock and Roll Express, legendary tag team. That was really cool to get to meet Ricky Morton. And then sitting in the very back of the locker room is Sabu talking to Kevin Sullivan.
Who?
And
on the wall.
Yeah, and you getting the opportunity that early in my career to get to talk to Kevin Sullivan and be influenced by him was extremely influential. I mean, this is the guy who came up with so many stories and ideas for WCW during the Attitude Era, during the NWO era. Yeah. I mean, Goldberg. There would be no Goldberg without Kevin Sullivan.
Right.
It's just what it is.
Be honest. Was you marking out a little bit?
What was I?
When you met him.
When I met Kevin Sullivan,
And
no. Not the first time I talked to him, because so he walked away and Sabu is still sitting there. And so I'm a video editor, I'm a photo editor, I'm a photographer at this point. And part of the reason I'm in the locker room is because I'm supposed to get to know all these people so that I can go and I can shoot promo shots for all of them for various posters and things. So I go up to Sabu, and I'm just going to tell you right now, if you think he's intimidating on anything in ECW or his WWE shit, you have no idea. That man can stare a fucking hole right through you. Every one of those scars is 100% real on his body, and you're looking at it just going,
I've heard from
holy shit.
I had Fonzie on the show. He told me the same thing.
And so I said, hi, I wanted to introduce myself. My name is, and he goes, are you a wrestler? Cuts me off right there immediately. And I start to say, no, I'm a photographer. And I get, no, I'm and he goes, get the fuck out of my locker room.
Ooh.
And I'm just staring at him like, oh my God, what the fuck did I just do? Don't look at me like that. I said, get the fuck out of my locker room. I'm going to beat your fucking ass.
Holy shit.
So I got the fuck out of his locker room. I talked to the owner of the company was Eddie Farhat, who was the son, Eddie Farhat Jr., actually, who was the son of Eddie Farhat, the original Sheik. And this group was Big Time Wrestling, the Federation, one of the original territories. Right. Like when you're talking about guys like Bobo Brazil and King Kong Bundy, like that's where they got theirs. This is where they really started and got their, so it's very cool to be a part of this. And Eddie went and talked to Sabu because they're actually cousins. That's how Sabu got in the business. Both him, Rob Van Dam, several others were trained by the Sheik. And so I get taken back, and Sabu did apologize to me. I couldn't fucking believe it, but under duress, he did apologize for kind of screaming at me. And I worked the show and everything. And then that evening was the first time I really got to sit down and have a conversation with Kevin Sullivan and talk about, storylines and story building, character building, all of which I've, tried to put into action. It doesn't matter who you're talking to, whether it's a manager or an in-ring worker or a referee. If they have time in the business, if they've gone down the aisle, if they've stepped between the ropes and gotten in that ring, you need to listen. They deserve some respect.
Yeah, definitely.
And so it was really cool for that. So a month later,
you got me marking out already.
Okay, yeah. So so a month later, this is the rest of this Sabu interaction that I really love to tell people. So a month later, I go to the next set of shows, because we do a month at a time of recording television. And so I get to the show, and this time in the venue, there's like this little atrium waiting area right between the entrance area and the locker room. And so I'm standing right here, and I'm telling all the guys and the girls, just go ahead and get suited up. Come on out here. I'm going to take a picture of you, and you go on about your business. Like real easy. Boom, boom, boom. And I turn around, and there's Sabu. And he looks at me and says, "Are you a wrestler?"
Oh, no.
No, I told you already. I'm a photographer, and I'm here because Eddie, your cousin, the boss here, told me to be here, and I'm taking promo pics. And I get it all out. I say my whole piece this time.
Ooh.
And he says, "Well, I didn't fucking tell you could be in my locker room." And I'm being literal here. Like a lot of people will say this as a phrase, so I want to make sure that I am being very literal when I tell you he literally put his foot on my ass and kicked it out the door.
Oh, holy shit.
I literally got my ass kicked out the door.
I wasn't expecting that.
6 months later, now I've gone through training. I know how to take a bump now. I know how to, do a wrist lock and, all that shit. I know how to hit the ropes. I've been trained as a referee, and I'm getting ready to go out to ref the opening match of the show. It's my very first time actually getting in the ring to perform. The crowd was about 1,000 people, which
not bad
for an indie show is very big.
Yeah.
It was so I'm like, the national anthem is playing. I'm right behind the curtain because I'm the first one who's going to go out before the entrance music for the wrestlers or anything.
You're in Gorilla.
And I'm just exactly. I'm standing right there in Gorilla, nervous as shit, and I turn and I see Sabu walking towards me.
Oh no! I'm sorry.
I'm just like, God damn it. Not right now. Any time but right now. And he gets face to face, like right here with me. And he goes, "Good luck."
Wow.
And he shook my hand. He goes, "You're gonna do great out there." And it was at that point that I really realized that he didn't hate me. He never hated me. But he wasn't just gonna let me be a part of this thing without putting in my time, without putting in what I needed to really understand how important it is. Like, honest to God, if I couldn't take him and the shit he gave me, I would never be able to take the shit that I get now as a manager. Because I'm a heel manager. I go by the moniker Adrian Ozymandias, and I'm a fucking asshole. My job is to piss you off.
Adrian Ozymandias.
Adrian Ozymandias.
Sorry about that.
And that's not the accent I use. I actually use an accent. It's a kind of a New Jersey thing. I literally have to listen to Vince Russo. Bro. All right, listen, bro. What you gotta know right here, and like I really gotta listen to it for a minute to really get it, but because what I've noticed as just a thing is there's no accent that brings the heat more than a New Jersey accent.
Oh yeah. Especially if you're going by Russo. I mean, that's just
if you can invoke Vince Russo vibes in somebody, then you're doing the right thing. Another really fun Sabu story, because I don't want Sabu to come across as just a dick. I actually heard that he just announced his retirement yesterday. So
he's been going through some bad stuff.
Some bad injuries. Actually, the very first day, that very first show, that he retore his bicep. And so that evening show that we did, the house show that evening, like, he had taped it all up, and we're all like, everyone's just like, how the fuck are you going up there like that? It was incredible. But okay, so a really fun story about Sabu. We're doing TV taping. We have monitors back in the locker room, so everyone in the locker room can see what's going on. There's a plant in the audience right now. It's a worker who's he's about 4 months in. He knows how to bump. He knows how to do some basic things, but he's not ready for a full match yet. Right. And we have this woman named Miss Olympia who is essentially China. Like, she's fucking huge. Okay? And she's in the ring. She's talking her shit. And I'm standing in Gorilla because I'm refereeing the next match. So me and the two wrestlers are standing right there in Gorilla getting ready. And we know what's going on outside. We have a monitor. We can see. And so she's in the ring. And this guy that's plant in the audience gets up, starts yelling at her, saying all this nasty shit, and ends up getting in the ring. And as soon as he gets in the ring, like, that's a big no. Like, fans, no, get in the ring.
Yeah, once they get in the ring, they're taking
it's open. It's literally open territory. I've been told, like, a fan gets in the ring and you do whatever you have to do to get them out.
Right.
You protect the wrestlers at all fucking costs. Yeah. And I've had to. So
you never know what they
It's really interesting dropping an elbow on a real person.
Yeah. So you probably get to actually
yeah, to actually do it. So this guy gets in the ring, and it looks like him and Olympia are about to go to blows because that's the segment, you know? And all of a sudden, here comes Sabu, turban and all, bursting through Gorilla, through the curtain, jumps in the ring, and beats the shit out of this greenhorn for real. To the point Olympia is like pulling Sabu off. And Tom, the assistant or the vice president of the company, who he was the other son of the Sheik, who was the younger brother of Eddie, runs out and they get Sabu off. And they're like, he's a plant, he's a fucking plant.
So it's pandemonium.
Yeah, absolute craziness. And so Olympia manages to finish the spot in the ring, or the promo in the ring, while Tom gets Sabu out of the ring. And Sabu gets back to the curtain, and he's just and he looks at me and the two wrestlers that, you know, Tim Horner Jr. If you know Tim Horner, his son, Tim Horner Jr.
They used to be
out of Ohio.
Lightning Express.
Yeah. So he's one of them, and he just looks at us and goes, "Fuck you guys." And walks back to the locker room because it was almost like the greatest rib you could have pulled on Sabu. It was so great. So,
wow.
You know, there's a lot of, you know, I don't want him to come across as an asshole.
Right.
He's the guy who protects the business, and I have the utmost respect for him.
And I think you did him justice. That's some great stories, dude. That's great memories you'll have for the rest of your life, man. You ever get to meet Fonzie?
I have actually. Evan and I were trying to get Alfonso onto the podcast, and we still might. But he was otherwise occupied at the time, so I haven't personally got to work with Bill Alfonso. I can list off a laundry list of names for you if you'd like me to. A lot of old ECW guys, Jerry Lynn, Balls Mahoney. Oh my God, I worked with Balls so many times before he passed away.
Rest in peace, yeah.
Yep, definitely. Chris Canyon, worked with him. Crowbar Storm.
Crowbar in WCW with Daphne.
Yep.
Oh wow.
Yep. When that whole thing happened with Daphne, that hit me like you can. Evan knows that hit me very, very hard because Daphne. And I'm not going to pretend like I'm best friends with any of these people. I don't want to give that impression. It's just that I had a lot of, you know, a work relationship with these people. And backstage, when you would talk to Daphne, she was honestly the best laugh, the most authentic, full-bodied laugh that.
It hit me hard as a fan, so I can only imagine how it did.
Watching those videos, it was like, that's not my Daphne. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
to bring a little bit of positivity here, I feel the need that I'd like to try to help you out with something. And this is a surprise, and maybe he'll answer, maybe he won't.
Okay. What do you got? Oh, shit. Wow.
Because y'all would enjoy him on your show, man.
Wow. That's very cool.
Please leave your message.
What's up, Daddy? It's Matt Graves, man. Give me a call. I want to talk to you about a podcast. So give me a call when you get a chance. Peace.
Massive thanks, Darken Graves, man. That's very cool of you, brother. That's very cool of you.
I'll edit his number out and all that.
Yeah, I heard that. I was like, oh shit.
And so we'll
start 8675309 situation.
Yeah. Fonzie, he was on the show. It was a 2-part series, and he was just a great dude. He's filled with stories. Anything you can think of that he in the wrestling business, he's got a story for.
Oh, I believe it.
And I think on y'all's show, I love y'all's show, by the way. I pay attention. I've watched every episode, and I think he'd be a good fit. So,
well, thank you. I'm glad you've been enjoying the show. It's been a lot of fun with Evan because for a long time they're doing H.K.W. Like I was literally putting in 60-hour weeks just with the eFed, with all the video editing and trying to make sure that everything came across as a good-looking production. That was really important to me. So being able to do something like the podcast, where I feel like it's a lot more laid-back environment, and I can just be myself as opposed to always trying to be the Alpha Angel character, as well as a handful of other characters. I was doing all the commentary, both voices.
Stephen Benoit Jericho?
What's that?
Were you Stephen Benoit Jericho?
No, I was not Stephen Benoit Jericho.
I got the wrong company.
No, I know exactly. Hold on. Can you get me a water, please? Thanks. By the way, I don't know if anyone else there has been able to go on the dark. You got a nice setup here for me, man. I really appreciate this. No, I'm not Stephen Benoit Jericho. I've seen him in other feds. At one time, like there was some talk about him coming to H.K.W. a little bit, but there was nothing really ever pursued in that.
Right. I've always wondered.
No, that's cool. That's cool. No, it was always the Archangel. That was a character that I had like with my brother when we very first started e-fetting way back in '98. So like I've been using that character for a long time.
You came into, I want to say it was either NEW or MIW at about the same time. I was there at the same time because I remember. I don't know if it was a tournament or it was something, but it was right before I was on my way out. But I remember you coming in as the Archangel or the Alpha Angel.
That would have been new then. If I did work in MIW for a little bit. I had one stint and then one match. But when I came into new, it was after that point I started using the moniker Alpha Angel instead of Archangel. I was trying to separate. So and I really this is one of the things that I would probably talk about on my podcast normally. But I think thank you.
Get that man his water.
Good people here. So I listen to Paul Heyman a lot.
Right.
And
you gotta listen.
Paul Heyman is the advocate for Brock Lesnar. He's the advocate. That's his word.
Right.
And the reason that he is an advocate and not a manager is because it's important to separate himself from everybody else. That's crucially important in professional wrestling. And when I'm doing my real life gig, I don't go by a manager. I'm a legal advisor. I come out with a briefcase and put tape around my glasses and look like a
Managers
Just
are kind
knowing those.
slowly kind of, disintegrating a little bit. Would you agree?
Yeah. So I really wanted to use the name Alpha Angel just to separate myself from like 1,000 other archangels I was starting to see in other feds. And so there you go. That's really.
Yeah, if I were to just, and I'm not trying to stereotype, if I had never seen you or met you before, just by talking to you, you remind me a lot, not the dress you had, Jim Cornette, but more like Cyrus the Virus. I mean that as
Really,
a compliment.
we're going straight Con Air with this shit. All right.
I mean that as a compliment.
No, I appreciate it. My character has always been a very kind of an intellectual, more like psychological character.
Right.
You look at me and I'm never gonna be Mr. Muscles. I wish I could, but that's just my body wasn't built for that. So I need, I got to do something else. And it doesn't matter who you are. There's something about you that if you turn that dial on up on that characteristic about you, then you can take advantage, and it minimizes the things that are less about you and just shows people that good part of you that you want to see. So that's what I've tried to do, and I encourage other people to do.
That's great advice for anybody out there listening. Hell's Kitchen Wrestling.
What's that?
Hell's Kitchen Wrestling.
Hell's Kitchen Wrestling.
The idea, the beginnings, the Andre Splinters,
Okay. So believe it or not, the idea for H.K.W. spawned back in around the year 1999, not necessarily as H.K.W., but I would play WCW Revenge. I would play, WrestleMania 2000, No Mercy, these kind of games growing up. And especially with WrestleMania 2000. WrestleMania 2000 was the first game that you got to make your own car.
Yeah.
And that was huge. I spent 4 or 5 hours the very first time just on my car, going through every individual move, making sure that it was who I wanted to be,
Was that the first one you ever created on WrestleMania 2000?
Yeah.
Mike Awesome.
Oh, that is cool. And so my brother and I, we'd have these matches, and we'd have these characters that we would play, and we had enemies, heels that we created to be foils to us and everything. And we pretty much stopped using a lot of the normal characters. We wouldn't wrestle Stone Cold or The Rock, or, we didn't go up against DX. We wanted to fight our guys. And we had about that same time discovered e-fedding. So we were a tag team. My brother and I were a tag team doing the e-fed thing, and then I also had a singles career separately. This is way before videos are going out on the internet.
This is RPs, written RPs, and
all written RPs, yeah. So when the idea came to me that I wanted to make H.K.W., that I wanted to start my own fed, I wanted to give my friends the opportunity to get a feeling for the business. I knew that one of the things that I would have to do is I would have to put together a presentation that you wanted to watch, because it's not enough to just be a wrestler. Like, I think that people who just want, I'm going to go out there and be the wrestler, I'm going to be the champ, I'm going to beat this guy. In all reality, what wrestling is entertainment. You're an entertainer. You're going out there, and your real job isn't to beat your opponent. Your real job is to entertain the fans in whatever capacity that's in, whether it's to piss off the fans so the good guy can build them back up again, or to be that good guy who's giving hope to the audience, whatever it is.
Yeah.
you have, like, you're an entertainer. Your job is to entertain people. Your job is to make them want to watch your show and want to watch them come back every week. And whether it's the promoters or the wrestlers themselves not putting forth that effort with commentary, not putting forth that effort with presentation, why would I want to watch it? Why would I want to watch something that you're not even wanting to put your own effort into?
Right. I've always said that, and maybe you agree with this, in wrestling, especially in EFED wrestling, that if you're not willing to put someone over, if you're not willing to come into this game and play it the right way, like it's supposed to be played, which is supposed to be a game.
Mm-hmm.
And I use quotation marks because that it gets, real life gets involved way too much with this stuff. But do it in the right way as a team effort. That's how it's supposed to be done. Whether the wins and losses, people are going to remember the story way more than they're going to remember the wins and the losses.
100%.
I know I was rambling there for a second. I'm sorry, but that's the point I was trying to get at.
No, you're right. People do remember the stories a lot more than the wins and losses because the story was what took them on the journey.
Right.
Okay, like the end. Okay, I think a really good example of this is back 96, 97. Hulk Hogan and Sting. The rivalry between Hulk Hogan and Sting was absolutely legendary. Like, it was, I mean, you would see him up in the rafters looking down. He'd come out to the ring, take out the whole NWO with the baseball bat. You really believed in him. You got to this point where you got the Starcade, where you're like totally invested in the story.
He's my hero.
Sucked. The match was a piece of shit.
Yeah, and there's I'd kind of like to get your opinion on what you thought really happened there, because I have my own opinions on what had happened there. I've heard both sides of the stories. Eric Bischoff claiming that Sting was doped up and all that, which, I don't really believe. And I'm biased when it comes to Sting. Like, I've got autographed pictures of Sting. I can't turn my camera around, but autographed pictures of Sting all around my room. He's still my hero to this day, as Marcus as it sounds. But I do believe that Hogan and Nick Patrick had some kind of Hogan kind of pulled him to the side and said, "Hey, can't make that count normal."
Back in 2002, right about this time of year, actually, it was the Halloween episode of SmackDown, which you can find me because of this. So I ended up winning a radio contest. I was outside the arena. We were trying to get autographs. I had long hair at the time. This van for local radio station pulls up and they say, "You guys are some crazy fans out here in the cold trying to get autographs." And we're like, "Yeah." And they say, how crazy would you be for ringside seats?" I said, "What do you want me to do?" And I said, "Can we shave your head?" Took off my baseball cap. I was like, "Go for it." So they shaved my head right there on the street in downtown Grand Rapids. And then I get sent to TGI Fridays to collect the rest of my prize, which I figured was lunch, free lunch. So me and my buddy DJ, we put all our stuff into the car. We put our cameras in the car. We put our T-shirts. I had a big Hardy Boys T-shirt that I was getting autographed by everybody. By the way, Jeff Hardy, one of the coolest guys you'll ever meet.
Awesome.
So we go over to this TGI Fridays to get our prize and say, "Hi, I'm the contest winner," and everything. And they go, "Oh, right this way." And they take us back to a room there. Sitting at this table is Terry Taylor and Hulk Hogan.
Whoa.
Yeah. And so I got to sit there for about an hour and a half and just shoot shit with Hulk Hogan. So that was pretty cool. And so I got to listen to him tell me a lot of stories because it was just story time. The whole time was just fucking story time. So he told me about Andre. He told me about Macho. He told me about Sting. He told me about The Rock. Do you want to know the match at this point that he was most nervous for?
Was it The Rock?
It was The Rock.
Yeah.
Because he was afraid that he wasn't going to be able to perform at the level that people were expecting him to.
And watching that match, I've seen that match 1,000 times. When they had the stare off, you can look in Hogan's eyes and kind of see.
He was a little nervous.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, he straight up said, like, if Andre wanted to kill him at WrestleMania 3, Andre could have. There wouldn't have been a damn thing he could have done about it. Like, he said that to me. You know, he's a real cool guy. The meal ended with him. I was like, no one's going to believe that I'm having lunch with you because, like I said, I had left all the autograph stuff and everything in the car. And he does this thing where he's like, with Fu Manchu, you got to just think about his mustache when I'm telling you this. Pulls out his cell phone. Call somebody, brother.
Wow.
And so I called my house because I knew my dad was at home. And my dad was like, I started watching wrestling because of my dad, you know. Same here. And so my dad picks up the phone and I'm like, Dad, you're not going to believe this. I'm sitting here. I'm having lunch with Hulk Hogan. And he's like, that's nice, Brian. And I'm like, no, I'm serious. I'm 100% legit. Like, do you want to talk to Hulk Hogan? And he goes, no, that's okay. You have fun with your friends. And I said, okay, listen, I'm about to call back. You do not pick up the phone. You just let the answering machine pick it up. I'm gonna have him leave a message for Anthony, my little brother. And so Hogan calls back and it hits the answering machine. I talk first and I'm like, hey, Anthony, I'm out here having lunch and there's somebody who wants to talk to you. I just hand him the phone. And his normal speaking voice, you know, it's a lot more like that Hogan Knows Best.
Yeah, like laid back, chill.
Yeah, but he goes right into his full promo shtick. Hey, brother, I'm out here having lunch with your brother. And he's a really cool dude, brother, but not as cool as you. And I just want to remind you to say your prayers and take your vitamins and like the whole shtick. And it was just like, okay, you're fucking cool. And I know there's been a lot that's come out about him in the years since I met him. And
do you still have the tape?
For me, the experience I had with him was really cool. And the experience I had with him felt genuine, at least. And I think that him and Nick Patrick, you know, might have had a conversation or something, but I don't think it was that intentional. As a referee and working as many matches as I have and working main event matches that I have, you can fuck up. I've fucked up.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Oh, no. It's okay. Go ahead. It's your show, brother.
I was going to say, I'm good friends with Billy Silverman. You know,
okay.
Yeah. Public Doom match. He's told me on many occasions that, you know, as a referee, he didn't know until like 5 minutes before the match what was going to happen.
There are definitely times, yeah. Or there are times when you find out mid-match that you have to change shit.
Right.
Or on one occasion, and it's only happened one time in all the matches that I've reffed. So a referee has kind of an interesting job. They actually have one piece of authority in the show that nobody else has. Did you know that? Like even above the promoter and booker?
What's that?
Under the right circumstances, they can change the finish.
Yeah, I can get that. I can understand that.
So what happened is I was doing this show, and the first guy got tossed out of the ring, and the second guy, I don't remember either of the names, to be honest. I just remember what happened. The second guy climbed up to the top rope and attempted to do a somersault plancha onto the guy standing down on the floor. So when you would do that, ideally the 2 feet would come directly across the shoulders, and So if you were doing it to me, your feet would come across my shoulders. I would grab your legs and fall back and cushion. And then when your feet hit the ground, because I'm holding your legs,
Right.
I can actually cushion my blow.
Right. Like breaking
and so, like, yeah, that's the ideal way to do the move. but what ended up happening, instead of coming right here, the guy came right here. And I just saw the guy on the floor's nose explode. Literally explode like a firework. And I jumped down onto the floor, and he's barely conscious. And I looked at the second guy, and because he'd gotten back in the ring. He knew that the first guy was injured. So he gets back in the ring, and he's doing the heel shtick, getting the fans worked up. And I get in there, and I'm reading him the riot act, and I say to him quietly, "You're going to hit your finisher. You're going to toss him in the ring. You're going to hit your finisher. This match is going home right the fuck now." And
I don't mean to interrupt.
Said, yes, sir.
I had a call. I had a call back just now.
Oh yeah.
You wanna give it a whirl?
Let's go for it. Why not? Why not? I'm willing to try anything once and twice if I like it.
He called back. Hey, what's going on, Daddy?
All good. I'm in the car. I was on the phone with my girl when you called. I couldn't hang up on her.
Oh, I'm sorry about that, man.
Oh, all good. No, you're good. I called you right back when I got off the phone with her. I'm driving. I left Tampa, and I'm driving to Miami. It's 290 miles. I have a show there with CCW tonight.
Awesome.
So I'm on the road for another 2 hours and 30 minutes.
Well, I'm actually I'm live on one of my podcasts, Fonzie, and I got a buddy of mine who's he's in the wrestling business.
Okay, start over again because you broke up for a second.
I say I'm actually live on one of my podcasts right now, and I'm interviewing a buddy of mine. He's in the wrestling business.
Okay.
And he'd like to have you on his podcast.
Now?
Oh no, not right now. He'd like to schedule something with you. His name's Brian Mead. He started out in big time wrestling.
Big time. That was in Detroit area.
Yeah. He knew Sabu and everything.
Okay. Very cool. Very cool. So line that up. Have him give him my info, and have him call me.
I sure will.
And we'll set something up. You know, there's a talent fee attached to it. You told him about that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Very cool. Yeah, I'm done. I'm doing podcasts on a steady basis, at least 1 or 2 a month. I just did one the other day, and I got my next one is Thanksgiving, the day before Thanksgiving, or I think it's a Wednesday or something like that.
You actually did one with a couple buddies of mine, Nick White and Robbie Cutthroat on the Uncut.
Okay.
Yeah, those are some buddies of mine.
All right. Tim White, the referee for WWF back then in the day, right?
Yeah.
That's him?
Oh no, Nick White.
And I thought you said Tim, because that was one of the referees' name when I was refereeing it for Vince. His name was Tim White.
I remember Tim White.
Yeah. He was on Andre. He used to drive around Andre all the time. Andre the Giant. And he was on the documentary about Andre.
Awesome.
Recently on Dark Side of the Ring or whatever. Yeah, I'm definitely interested.
Brian, if you want to say hello to Fonzie.
Hey Fonzie, it's great to talk to you, man. I've worked with Sabu quite a bit, but somehow I've always managed to miss a chance to work with you, brother. I've got to hear a lot of cool stories. I'd love to have you on my show. I'd love to get to just sit there, talk shop, have a good time. So thank you. I'll be happy to give you a call.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and yeah, I'm good with the podcast. All we do is talk about stuff. You know what I mean? I'm sure you got questions, and I got great road stories and in-the-ring stories and stories about ECW, WWF, WCW, Florida wrestling. So we got a lot to talk about, and I'm pretty entertaining.
Do you mind?
Very entertaining.
Fonzie, do you mind if I ask you just one question right now?
Brother, let's talk because I'm on the road for I'm driving from Tampa to Miami, which is 291 miles, and I still got 2.5 hours, so we can talk. Oh yeah.
So last night I was on Twitter and I saw that Sabu, he's retiring. He's officially retired, and I mean, I've seen him wrestle with so many, being injured so many times that I'm almost shocked, but I never thought I'd see the day. But I was just curious for your reaction to that news.
Well, I'm glad because he was so banged up, his body can't take it no more. He'll still get in the ring, but he'll work like the Sheik used to work at the tail end of the Sheik's career. He pulled out the gimmicks and stabbed you with a pencil and put you in the camel cuts and stuff like that, but he's definitely not going through tables and stuff anymore. November 20th, him and he lives in Vegas, I live in Tampa, we're flying to Pittsburgh. We have a convention that Saturday in the daytime from 10 to 3 or something, and then that night, Saturday night, we're driving with the promoter who's bringing us in. We're driving to a wrestling show. We're not going to wrestle. We're just going to do a meet and greet, whatever. And then following day, which is Sunday, we're doing 2 stores, like toy stores. One in Erie and one somewhere in Ohio close to Cleveland. So I'll be with him for 4 days, basically. But he's definitely not going to wrestle. We're just doing appearances. My reaction to that, I'm happy that he's not banging up his body. He can still walk. If he goes anymore, he might fucking be paralyzed. Who knows, He's all fucking banged up. Because he's the one who was taking all that abuse to his body. Some crazy shit. And he did it for years, so.
Yeah.
That's good news or bad news. Bad news that he's not going to be in the ring no more. Good news, he's saving his body a little bit. But what's left of it, Well, it doesn't shock me to make that decision. I'm happy for him. But we can still make appearances and stuff. Do the conventions and toy stores and podcasts and so on. So he's still going to be relevant to the business,
Oh, I don't know how he could ever not be relevant to the business after everything he's done. I mean, he's legit Hall of Fame to me.
Yes, he's one of my favorite wrestlers. I love Jack Briscoe. He's before your time, but Jack Briscoe, Terry Funk, Sabu, and Van Dam are my 4 favorite wrestlers. And I'm Flair and all those Flair, but Jack Briscoe, Sabu, of course, is my guy because we got along so good and we worked really good together.
Hey Fonzie, correct me if I'm wrong. And I think we talked about this. Your first match to ref was Terry Funk against the Sheik, right? In a chain match.
Correct.
Holy shit, man! That's a fucking match right there.
That was in 1978 in Lubbock, Texas. That was my first paid. I'd refereed a little bit, but that was my first paid performance. So I was officially in the business when you get your first check. You know, I made $90 that night.
That sounds about right.
Yep. And the Sheik, towards the end of the match, was manhandling the referee, which was me, tore my shirt up, pulled out a pencil, was stabbing Terry Funk in the head with it, and then he grabbed me and started jabbing his head. Was jamming me, and he did by accident poke me with a pencil and broke my skin. And I still have, this is a 78, I still have the lead mark too. I still have the lead mark in my arm. So see you guys out there, you got lead from the Sheik.
Wow.
Badge of honor.
That's actually really, really cool.
Yeah, that's why
Really cool.
when I got I told that story at my first professional match that I got went there and then
I'm here.
Because I worked at the top, and we had a really good run.
Yeah,
So awesome.
you sound great, Fonzie.
Feel good. I feel good. I'm getting ready to line up a joint.
Hell yeah.
You know, I got 2.5 before I get to the building, and the show doesn't start till 8 o'clock, so I'll be cool by then. No, I'm not back then where you can smoke a joint and go to, as you're walking through the ring.
They're right.
You can't do that. You know.
Hey, what does RVD 420 mean?
Smoke it up, Daddy.
I just smoked your ass.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. I was just with RVD. We did a convention and a wrestling show about a month ago at the ECW Arena in Philadelphia. And
That is sweet.
we did all this shit, and of course, I managed him that night, and we were together at the convention. We did really good together, and he's getting married November 11th. So
wow.
him and Candy are getting married.
Wow.
Well, please send along congratulations from a fan, I guess. Yeah, I know you wouldn't know who I am. I've only met him once.
Yeah, I will pass that info
Brian-
on to him.
Brian's actually he's a manager.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Up in Detroit area?
Yeah, if you know who the Colding brothers are, Brian and Chuck Cold, I know they did a little bit of work for Vince.
Yeah, that name sounds really familiar. Team, I don't know for sure, but the name sounds really familiar.
So yeah, Chuck Cold, I'm his his legal advisor is what the moniker I go by. But he's just recently won the Michigan Pro Wrestling Alliance World Heavyweight Championship, so it's pretty cool to be a part of a world title situation. I never got to do that before.
Oh yeah, well, what do you dress like, and what is your character like?
So my name is Adrian Osmandius. I am a huge nerd. Suspenders, tape around the glasses, carry a briefcase that I like to hit opponents with. Thick New Jersey accent when I'm doing it, and just trying to piss everybody off, Just really get under skin.
Yeah, and really nowadays that, like, I'm not a baby face or a heel, I'm more of a character. You know what I mean? So I can manage a bad guy or a good, I'm a character, and you will be too, sooner or later. You know what I mean? And I like the briefcase. That's cool. Very cool. Very cool. And you wear suspenders, more like a geeky type guy?
Yeah. So suspenders, bow tie, just anything I can. I'm almost like a scrawny IRS, I guess.
Okay. All right. Oh, nice, nice. And how often do you guys run up there? How often do you guys do shows up there?
Well, it's really slowed down ever since the pandemic, unfortunately. So we've only been able to do a handful of shows this year, but it's been really cool because I've seen a lot more people coming out to the shows that we've had, and they seem a lot more into the shows now than they were before the pandemic. Has that been your experience?
Yeah, it's coming back because we went through the same thing. I went out of Ohio called AIW, John Thorne, and the governor in Ohio completely shut any events down for long. And now they're started back, and I've done, 7 or 8 shows. Like, 500 people, getting the momentum back now. Since everybody's getting the shots and it's calmed down a little bit. So, but people are dying for some entertainment,
Yeah.
They want to see live entertainment. Everybody feels comfortable. Now you look at the football games last year, fucking nobody was in the stands, but now the fucking stands are packed. Sold out shows.
Hey, Fonzie, what you think about what AEW's doing right now?
AEW?
Yeah.
I think Cody is doing a good job because he's like his dad. His dad was brilliant.
Yeah, I remember you telling me a lot of stories about you and Dusty.
Yeah. Dusty for years. I was his left-hand man, not his right-hand man, but his left-hand man. I learned a lot, and I was blessed to be, schooled by these guys. Bobo Brazil, the Sheik, the Funks, Dusty, on a real personal level. I mean, I worked with Dusty every night for 5 years, so, man, but it's coming back, and I'm glad you're a part of it now. I know you love the business.
Oh, yeah.
Just like me. You know what I mean? I know you're not making a fucking $1,000 a night either. But you're having a good time. You're doing what you love, and who knows, brother, being in the right place at the right time, who knows, you might get a call one day from AEW or WWF. Here's the problem with that, brother. There's a couple thousand of us, but there's only a couple hundred jobs, where you can make a living. You know what I mean? So it's really hard to get in full time and get a contract with these guys. Because there's so many of us, everybody's so talented, But just remember, you got to have the talent. If they call you, you got to be on your A game. Be ready. You never know, brother. It's very possible. Unlikely right now for you, but you just keep doing what you're doing, brother, and get your name out there. And
you got to get you one of them nice white shirts like you had for the Tatsumi Fujinami match,
Oh yeah, brother. Oh. Yeah, I look like $1 million in that.
Yeah, I know you did.
I was proud, my haircut was beautiful, white designer shirt, beautiful bow tie. I had a Japanese flag and American flag sewn on my shirt. The Japanese office loved it, so did Dusty. And I was a hell of a referee, and I was excellent in that match. I took my mom, we did this and that. They praised me, And then it was in front of 65,000 people at an indoor show. Can you imagine working in front of 65,000 people? Pretty fucking cool in the main event,
Hell yeah. Hey.
So I've fortunate in my whole career, but you got to have some talent. Remember, believe if I wasn't good, if I didn't know the business, there was no way they would have took me to Japan. There was no way I would have been refereeing all these great matches. There would have been no way I would last all these years, you know. You got to be prepared and know your game.
Fonzie, this is Matthew Graves. Would you mind telling Brian about the story about how you had to warm up a lady for Giant Gonzalez?
Yeah. All right.
What?
So here's the story. In WCW, Ted Turner owns Atlanta Braves. He owns the Hawks, the basketball team. He owns CNN. He owns TBS. He owns all these things. So Giant Gonzalez was playing pro basketball in Europe, European basketball. So a scout from the Hawks saw Giant Gonzalez, and he was pretty damn good, unless he was fucking 7'8". You know, we built him as 8 foot. He was actually 7'8". So they brought him in to play for the Atlanta Hawks, but he couldn't. So he had played a few years before they called him. So his knees were a little bit burned out, so he couldn't play 100% in the NBA. So they told him, "Hey, Giant Gonzalez, just because we can't use you in NBA, I own WCW, we're going to make you into a wrestler." And Giant Gonzalez said, "What's a wrestler? I don't know anything about wrestling." So we trained him, and he had to have a personal assistant with him because he didn't know the United States. He was new in the country. He couldn't drive. He had to have somebody with him at all times. So I was personal assistant for 3 years. So we traveled together for 3 years, and we stayed. We never split a room. We always got different rooms at the Marriott. I'd be close to him, and it'd be very common for him to call me up at 2 o'clock in the morning. And this was my job. He said, "Hey, Fonzie, I can't sleep, and I'm hungry. Would you mind going to get me 6 hamburgers and this and that?" And I would do that on, once or twice a week. But we ate breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then he'd get hungry at night. So we're at the Marriott in California, and my phone rings. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. He says, "Hey, Fonzie, can you come down to my room?" And I say, "I'll be right there." So I get dressed. I walk down to his room. I knock on his door. And I'm expecting him to say, "Fonzie, here's $25. Go get me 3 quarter-pounders and French fries or whatever." I was expecting him to say that, right? So he opens the door, and he's naked. I said, "Giant, what are you doing naked answering the door like this?" "Well, I got a problem, Fonzie." So he opens the door a little more, and there was a beautiful girl in this bed, stark naked, not a stitch on her. And I mean a beautiful girl, like, remember how pretty Sunny was at one time?
Oh, yeah.
She was beautiful. She was beautiful back in the day. So he opens up the door, and there's a fucking beautiful girl in the bed naked. And she's waving to me, "Hey, Fonzie." And I said, "Well, what can I do for you, Giant? You want me to go get you guys some food or something?" He says, "No, I got a problem." And I'm a little embarrassed because the girl's naked, and I'm at the door looking at her, talking to the Giant. They're both naked. I said, "Well, what?" He said, "Well, my dick is so fat, I can't get it inside her pussy. So I want you to jump on her and fuck her for a little bit, get her pussy all loosened up." And I was embarrassed, and the girl said, "Oh, Fonzie, please help us, please. Now I got this beautiful girl begging me to bang her to get her pussy loosened up so he can put his big fat dick in her." And so I did. I jumped in with was her. She was thanking me. No, thank you so much, Fonzie. And she was fucking beautiful, this girl. Couldn't believe it. So I walked her up, and then Jack says, okay, Fonzie, get the fuck out of here. And they thanked me and said, see you later. And then I saw them the next day, and we laughed about it. But that was a pretty cool thing. So my job that night, I'm working for WWF, working for Vince McMahon. He's paid me big money, 6 figures. And my job that night was to fluff a girl for the Giant.
That's so awesome, dude.
The things you do for the business.
And the girl was beautiful. That's the story. And she was, you know, she's don't be embarrassed. I said, oh, please help us, please. Please help us. And she was, it was just one of those cool things that doesn't happen, you know?
Right.
That is awesome. That's an awesome story.
Yeah.
Pretty good story, right? That's a true story.
Hey, he's got a million of them. He's got a million of them. I promise you that.
Well, I was refereeing a match between Andre the Giant, way before Giant Gonzalez. This was 1981. Sold out Miami Beach Convention Center, and Andre the Giant was wrestling Bobo Brazil, who you know, Bobo was a big Detroit guy. Remember?
Yeah.
Bobo Brazil, right? So they had a wrestling match, sold out at Miami Beach Convention Center, and Andre the Giant had him in a turnbuckle, beating him down, bam, 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 and I'm saying, Frank, get him out of the turnbuckle. So he took a couple steps backward, and by accident, he stepped on my right foot, and he was weighing about 500 pounds at that time, and he hurt my right foot, and he put a hairline fracture in that bone at the top of your foot. So, still to this day, my foot swells up once or twice a year, and there's nothing a doctor can do because it's an old wound, and it healed itself back together, but it didn't heal properly. So once in a while, my foot swells up about 10% or 15%. It swells up a little bit. So still, 40 years later, I'm still feeling the effects of Andre the Giant stepping on my foot.
Damn.
That's gotta be. If you had to pick a wound to have, that would be it.
Yes. And I got tons of stories about Roddy Piper shooting the alligator, and different things, cool story behind the scenes, and that's what people want to hear on the podcast because they see what's going on in the ring. You know what I mean? They watch TV, they see what's going on in the ring. They go to the arena, they see what's going on in the ring. But they want to hear stories on their way to the arena, who you're riding with, stories like Andre stepping on my foot, or stories of me fluffing the girl for Giant Gonzalez. Or
I remember you told me about Barry Windham shooting a stop sign.
No, what happened was, we were the same trip I am on today. Tampa, driving to Miami to do a show at Miami Beach Convention Center, and Barry Windham was our top baby face. He was beautiful, and what a hell of a worker.
Yeah.
I mean, he's very a natural, fucking unbelievable, good-looking, tall, thin, that Mark Spitz body, you know. Now he's all filled out big, but he was slim, blonde hair, beautiful. The women loved him, and he could work his ass off. So, Harley Race was the world champion. He come in for the week, you know, and defend his title against the number one guy, and it happened to be Barry Windham. So he's gonna wrestle Barry Windham Wednesday night. We're driving to Miami. Now, I was Steve Kern, Mike Rotundo, Fonzie, and Barry Windham. There's 4 of us. We're driving in a car, Cadillac. And we were making pretty good money, so we were buying gimmicks. You know, you make money, you buy a fuzz buster, you buy a gun, you buy a cowboy, you buy all kind of cool shit. So we all had guns, so we stopped in the Everglades and we're shooting the guns. And Steve Kern says, hey, Fonzie, I'm going to shoot that sign I said, Steve Kern, that fucking sign's so big anybody could hit that. Stevie Wonder could hit that. He said, no, I'm going to hit the pole, the 2-inch fucking diameter pole that's holding the sign. Now, I said, well, if you can do that, that's a pretty good shot because we were far away. So he takes aim. He fires a 9mm. Bam, he hits the pole. The bullet ricochets off the pole, hits Barry Windham in the leg.
Oh, shit.
Now he's supposed to wrestle Harley Race for a 60-minute Broadway. You know, they're going to wrestle for 60 minutes.
Oh, no.
So as soon as Barry gets shot, like not even 2 minutes, the phone rings. Now, back then in the 80s, we had phones. The battery was the size of a shoebox. And then there was a big phone on top of the fucking battery. So the phone rings and it's Dusty. He said, where are you guys at? Where are you guys at? I said, Dusty, Barry just got shot. He said, oh my God, what happened? I tell him. And I said, we can see the bullet because it ricocheted off the pole, slowed it down, and it hit Barry. And the force of the bullet dropped Barry to his knees, but the bullet didn't go through his knee. It just penetrated, and you could see the bullet, the big fucking hole. You could look at the hole and see the bullet. Dusty said, well, dig the bullet out, tape him up, and get his ass to the arena. And he wrestled Harley Race after being shot for 60 minutes that night.
They still went Broadway with it.
Yes, sir, they sure did. They picked him up, and after the match, they took him to the hospital to get, technique shots and get it properly taken care of. But Barry Windham was, took the pain and fucking wrestled Harley Race, and great match. But that is story.
Incredible.
Yeah, but pretty cool. Pretty fucking cool. And I've got tons of little stories of stuff like that. Because people, again, they see what's on TV and they go to the arena and they see it, but they don't see how we live. They don't know who's riding together. They don't know that, the backstage stories. That's what they want to hear on this podcast. What I found out, I would tell them about the match, and they say, "Oh, we've seen that match. Tell us what happened on the way to that match," or almost into the airplane crash and shit.
Yeah.
These stories.
Yeah.
They want to hear these stories. So that's what I do. I've done. I guess in the last 2 years, well, when the virus hit, everything kind of got shut down. So my niece, who is my assistant, she handles a lot of my social media. She's 26 years old, beautiful, and she loves her uncle, and she likes doing the social media with me. So she came up with the bright idea. She said, hey, she did it in her own way. Fonzie's available for podcasts and this and that. So right away, we got 41 responses. And out of the last 2 years, I've probably done 50, maybe not that many, but a lot of podcasts. It got, we put a little talent fee attached to it. And that's how I supplemented my income because we weren't wrestling because the virus shut down. So, and what I found out is people love and they want to hear the backstage stories like I'm telling you now. They don't want to hear what they did in the ring already. They want to hear about Barry getting shot or near airplane crash or you guys getting a fight in the dressing room on the shoot. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what they want to hear, and I'm good at telling stories.
Yeah, you are. I enjoyed having you so much on my podcast, Fonzie. It was a pleasure. The first time when we did the 2-parter.
Yes, and all I got to do is tell the truth.
Yeah.
What I remember. If it's a little off, it's because it happened 30 years ago or 20. I don't remember every detail, but I remember you know, if you hear me tell the story, it's exactly the same every time. It's what I remember. You know, I had experiences with the Great Buddha, the alligators, and all.
I was gonna ask you if you've been catching any alligators lately.
I'm gonna send you a video when we get off the phone. You know, me fucking I was about a 5-pound bass, and like I was bringing them in, and I seen the big bass, and I see a big ass fucking 200-pound alligator chasing my fucking bass, and he fucking attacked my bass. Now I'm fighting a bass and a 200-pound alligator. The alligator swallowed the fucking bass, and I'm fucking fighting the alligator. Of course, I didn't bring him in. He was too big. I got a small bass bow, but I got a video. I'll send you the video, Matt, when we're done.
That sounds great, Fonz.
Oh, you'll love it. You say, Fonzie, that's fucking tremendous. And it was fun. And I've done that several times.
Yeah. I remember calling you one time and you was like, I gotta call you back. I'm wrestling a gator right now.
Yeah. Pretty fucking cool. So, I would love to be on your podcast, brother. So, when you get time, you work something out, and I'm available like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Usually Friday and Saturday, I'm on the road. So, it's hard for me to do podcasts when I'm on the road. And there's a small talent fee attached to it, but you know, I basically do a minimum of an hour, but usually I go an hour and a half. Look, we've been talking for 35 minutes already. You know what I mean? Yeah, time flies.
I know you. When me and you did it, your better half had to pull us apart there at the end.
Yeah, but he loved it. So usually I go an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes, and you know, so. And I get good responses from the podcast.
Yeah.
From the people who want to listen to them. Plus, I'll advertise on my social media, which, you know, I got 10, 20,000 people following me. And so I put your ad that I'm doing a podcast on mine, and then, you know, it gets tossed around. So I get a little audience too for you.
Yeah. Well,
dude, that is all absolutely awesome. I know my co-host Evan and I would be absolutely honored to have you and to hear some of your stories, because holy shit, you got some good ones already.
Yeah, well, I can tell some of this. I can say the last couple of stories I told you. I can repeat that on there, and then I add some more shit. Then you guys have questions, and I got a new. Have you guys seen my whistle that I'm selling?
I got 2 of them.
Yes.
That you gave me.
That I sent you?
Yeah, I got them.
Okay, great. So they're doing well. And also, for the podcast that I'm going to do with your brother, I'll send you a few whistles. I'll send you a couple for yourself, and then I'll send you a couple that you give away on the air when I'm on the podcast with you. And we have a contest. Hey, if you can answer this question, you're going to win a whistle. You know what I mean? And people love it. People love shit for free, especially something cool. But everybody got t-shirts, hats, and pictures. I'm the only one in the business selling a package whistle, which looks terrific. Looks like Mattel Toys made it.
Yeah, I'm showing it off right now, Fonz.
That's awesome. Separating yourself and putting yourself apart to get yourself over, man. Like, I have a lot of respect for that. I think that's really cool.
Thank you. And the people like doing the contest. And you do any kind of contest you want, but we do a contest where you ask a question. Hey, the first one who calls in with the correct answer, and you say, hey, what was Fonzie's first match you made? You know, first professional match you got. Of course, it's the Sheik and Terry Funk.
Yeah, I done spoiled that one.
Yeah. Who wrestled Ric Flair in Tokyo for those 11,000 people in 1992? You know what I mean? And the Fujinami, first one answers that gets win. You know, so we give away 2-3 whistles on air, and people love it. And I'll autograph them so they get an autograph whistle. And I'm sending some 8x10s and stuff. You can give them away or, to the club. Yeah, so it's pretty cool. So you guys come out pretty good. You get me for an hour and a half or more, minimum an hour and a half. It's hard for me to do an hour. I got so much shit to say. So you get the whistles, the pictures, me for an hour and a half or more. I put on my social media. I do this and that, and we have a good time, and it's good for the podcast.
Yeah.
And then I can help you out with other guys like Sandman or whoever else you want that I know I can help you get down with those guys.
I was going to ask you about, for me, if you're still in touch with Missy Hyatt.
Yeah, I just seen Missy Hyatt. I was with her at a convention in Ohio just about a month ago, and Sunny too. And Missy Hyatt, hey, did you see the episode on Judge Mathis?
Yeah, we talked about that too. The Judge Mathis episode, the car.
Yeah. So
What'd you say at the end of it there? That the judge had
they awarded her the lawsuit. She was suing me for the $500. It was a work,
Right.
I divorced. I had a divorce too. The judge said, "Do you want his divorce?" She said, "No, I've already got mine fixed." But there was a $500 deductible, and Fonzie refuses to pay it. I did. Now I wanted to pay it because it was my fault. I wrecked a Porsche, but it was a work. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I said, after the judge says, "Oh, I award Miss Yaya $500," and she wins the fucking lawsuit, and then when you're walking out, the guy stops you and says, "Well, what do you think about the judge's decision?" I said, "Well, he was a little biased because Missy Hyatt had 2 big assets I don't have."
Facts.
Judge Mathis gave me his business card with his fucking cell number on it and said, "Hey, have her call me later. You wanted to."
Wow.
That's awesome.
Missy was, but it didn't happen. But it would have happened if Missy wanted it to. But she wasn't interested.
Fonzie, if you ever get to talk to Missy or Tammy Sitch, tell them about your boy Matt Graves. Love to have either one of them on too. Love to have you back on as well one day.
Oh, absolutely. Well, when you're ready for Missy or Sunny, you let me know, and I'll line it up with you. I talk to Missy maybe once a month, or I'll see her on the road at a convention or at a show. She lives in Tallahassee, and you know what she does now? She's really into reenacting the Civil War.
Really?
You know how those people dress? Yeah, how they dress Civil War.
Huh.
That's cool. Different.
Those things all over the fucking country, and she loves it, and she's still good looking.
Oh yeah.
She's aged a little bit, but she's still body. I'm going to send you a naked picture of Missy Hyatt and Sunny posing together.
Hell yeah.
Beautiful. In fact, I might be able to send it right now while we're talking.
That'd be fine.
Pull it up. You love it. And they're all fucking beautiful.
Yeah. That brings that's nostalgia for me because I was, like I told you on the podcast, I was around 13 or 14 whenever, they're big. So.
Oh yeah.
They help me find myself. I'll just say that.
Hey, Ben. I found the picture now. I'm looking for your number here. Believe me, I got it. I was happy that you called when I was talking to my girlfriend. I said, "Oh, my buddy Matthew just called me," and she said, "Call him back once we're done talking."
How is she doing?
Excellent.
Good.
Excellent. Tall, beautiful blonde.
Any wedding bells in the future? I know I asked you this before.
I would marry her, but we're doing fine just being together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I ever get married again, it would be to this girl.
Yeah, y'all make a great couple. I'll say that.
Thank you.
You seem very happy.
Yeah, I love her. I'm crazy for her. Crazy for her.
Well, man, this has been a treat, man. To have you on here. I'm sorry.
Matt, give me your phone number. So I'm gonna punch it in because I'm having trouble pulling your number up. I'm driving. Give me your phone number slow.
318.
318
769. 769.
I got it. 2773.
That's it.
Okay, I just sent you. You can have it in 5 seconds. You can have the picture of Missy Hyatt naked and Tammy. Beautiful, big tits.
God bless you, Daddy.
Beautiful, right?
Let me take a look here. I got an image here.
Aren't they good looking?
Let me pull it up here. Oh, holy shit.
Beautiful, right? I wish I was the one who took that picture. I wasn't, but...
Man. Good God Almighty.
A story about Missy Hyatt. Oh, I've got a ton of stories about Missy Hyatt, but one personally with me. So, she moved to Tampa, and I live in Tampa. Why she moved to Tampa, I don't know, but she had a nice apartment, and she had this site. It was called Triple X Vixens or something. Triple X Vixens, and what she would do is go on like at 10 o'clock, she would go live, but she would be talking. And then at 11 o'clock, you would pay $1.99 a minute, and she would get naked and do all kind of sexual things, right?
Right.
Paying her, Jeff, 500 people paying her $1.99 a minute to make it bank. So I'm at her house, right? We've been good friends since back. It's the early 90s, WCW and all that. So she's on, from 10 to 11, she's on there talking, and then she goes live via video, and you can see her tits and whatever. So she's on, and I'm at her house, and she's talking and saying, in 15 more minutes, I'm going live, tune in, Triple X Vixens. $1.99, whatever she says. And she said, Fonzie, would you mind if I show him a couple of things that I'm going to be doing? And I said, I don't mind. What are you going to do? She said, I want to suck your dick. I said, you want to suck my dick on live on fucking video and show these people? I said, okay. So she was sucking my dick, looking into the camera, talking, sucking my dick at the same time. Says, this is what kind of stuff you're going to see for $1.99 a minute or whatever she was saying. So she blew me promoting her show. I was the lucky one.
Yeah.
I had a beautiful girl with big titties, beautiful back then. You see how good looking she is in that picture. So I said, I don't have a problem. I was single at the time, no girlfriend and all that. So it was pretty fucking cool. Pretty fucking cool.
Well, Fonz,
I got so many about the girls. Let me tell you one more quick story about every Sunday we would work at the Eddie Graham Sports Complex for Florida Championship Wrestling. Every Sunday, same building. It'd be the same audience, basically. It'd be the sell it out all the time. So there was a lot of, they used to call them rats, arena rats back in the day, right?
Right.
The girls that would come around and hang around, try to fuck the boys and so on and so on. So there was these two girls, one was black and one was white. The black girl was beautiful, so was the white girl, she was pretty too. And we became, I never fucked them or anything, we just became friends. They would bring us cookies and cakes and presents on your birthday. They were just big wrestling fans. And the black girl was engaged to her fiance. And she said, one day she comes up to me, she says, Fonzie, I got a problem. I want you to help me out. I said, sure, anything. I thought she needed $10 for gas or she needed advice or whatever. You know, I'm willing. She's my friend. You know, and remember, I never fucked her or anything. We became more friends. And I said, well, what's the problem, sweetheart? She says, well, my boyfriend wants me to start sucking his dick. And I'm really not that good at it. Can I practice on you? I said, of course you can practice on me, sweetheart. So for a month, one day, I tell her to go to the back, I jump in my car, she would practice sucking my dick. Lucky me, right?
I'm sure he was a great teacher.
Beautiful. If she would have been big, fat, and ugly, I don't know if I would have went for it, but she was so funny. And I was getting blowjobs, and she was practicing. I was doing her a favor.
Yeah.
So, pretty cool story. So, I got tons of stories about the girls and shit. But people don't really want to hear too much about that. They want to hear, you know, different shit, like, you know, the Judge Mathis. They don't want to
Beulah.
hear me talking about stuff and all that. Plus, I don't want to say too much of that, a little bit. I don't mind telling a giant story. You know, that's kind of different, and the largest athlete in the world is different. A little different. I'm getting paid to fucking prime the girl up with the giant. That's kind of cool, but not too much sexual stuff. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't want to turn the people off or rub it the wrong way. But our audience, your audience, is 90% males between 19 and 32. You know what I mean? They don't mind. So they don't mind hearing sex stories. I don't really like telling them too much. You know about the subject. But I do. So once in a while, I will talk about her. Like the black girl who practiced on me. I would say, you know, the story about Missy showing people what they're going to see at 11 o'clock, you know, for $1.99 a minute, suck my dick or whatever, and the dying story. So those are the three I kind of tell a little bit. But there's tons of stories we can talk about. So I'm really looking forward to working with you again, Matthew, and your buddy, who I would love to work with. And there's a small talent fee. You know, I got to charge something.
Yeah.
And it's feasible. And if you get a sponsor, it's even better. You know, you can almost get a couple of wrestling fans as your sponsors, and then they can be in on action or give a whistle or whatever, so you don't have to eat the whole $200, you know what I mean? And a lot of guys do that. And it's some guys say a sponsor, how do I get a sponsor? Well, you advertise. Advertise on your thing. Hey, I'm looking for some sponsors, whatever. And, you know, and then they get a small business. Hey, Jack's Puppy Shop wants to sponsor, you know. So, you know, you charge them for your commercial. You talk about them 2-3 times during an hour and a half broadcast.
And that's Brian Mead. So I'm gonna put y'all in touch with each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
that sounds great. Oh, that sounds absolutely great, Fonzie.
Yeah,
I look forward to it, brother.
So much. I wasn't expecting a call from you, Matthew. I was pleasantly surprised when I see your name pop up on my ID. I told my girl, hey, that's my boy. I worked with him on the podcast.
I was pleasantly surprised to see that you called back too, Fonz.
Brother, we're lifelong friends now.
Hell yeah.
My phone number. You know, but once you meet somebody and work with them, it's even if I don't talk to you for months and I don't see you for a long time, it's when I talk to you, it's like we never, we picked up where we left off.
Right, we do. We do.
I mean, we're brothers forever, and the thing about it, we have a lot in common. We both, all three of us, love the business.
Right.
Absolutely.
So,
you got that right, Daddy.
Hell yeah, Daddy. Hell yeah.
All right, Fonzie, well.
So,
man.
So when should I expect to do the podcast with your boy? Maybe in the next couple of months coming up?
I'll have Matthew give me your information. I'll get a hold of you in a couple of weeks, and we'll work it out.
Set something up now. Make sure you give us some time. That way we can advertise. I can
absolutely
advertise on my Instagram, advertise on my Facebook, and of course you advertise too. And we're getting some audience. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Probably looking around January.
Yeah, perfect. Anytime. But just remember, we got to have, 2 or 3 weeks to promote it.
Absolutely.
More time the better. We don't want to rush into something that nobody even knows I'm on. You know what I mean? Your podcast.
Oh, trust me, we'll do everything we can to make sure people know you're coming on.
They got a great show.
We'll make sure everyone knows.
They got a really good show.
Oh, good.
It's called the Standards of Greatness.
People and me get some of the old podcasts to see what the format is.
I couldn't hear you there, Fonz. You broke up for a second. If you can hear me, Fonzie, I'll get in touch with you, or Brian will get in touch with you.
And then the people want to hear, they want to ask questions too. So keep writing and let me know. But you guys, Jimmy from California, this question is, how long have you been in the business and what this and that? So they want to participate, and then I'll call them out. I say, hey, Jimmy from California, you want to know? And they love it when you mention their name. That's their name.
Right, hell yeah.
So,
hell yeah.
All right, Fonzie. Well, I'll be in touch, man, and Brian will as well. Just wanted to give you a shout, man. And thanks for telling some stories, man. I love you, brother.
Man, that's cool. Very cool. Wasn't expecting that today.
Talk to you soon, Daddy.
All right, Daddy. Peace, man.
Peace.
Things take a turn you weren't expecting, huh?
Yeah, wow.
There's some stories.
You know what? I need about a 30-second commercial break. Here's me and Necro. We're coming back with Back to the Boneyard. Be right back after this.
Somewhere out there, deep in the dark of the night. you cannot understand. In abomination, the devil commands. Into shadows, look strange things. No one knows what the night brings. Blinded daylight and from me. No one knows what the night brings. Slow creeping death from the depths of the dead that possess. Call.
So, Brian, I know we that went on a little long, but
No, that was cool. That I appreciate it. I've always wanted to talk to him. It's just one of those things where your paths don't quite cross. There's so many people in this industry. I mean, there's a lot of people I haven't got to cross paths with that I'd like to. But thank you.
do you have 30 more minutes? You can.
Yeah, brother. I got all the time in the world for you.
Top 5 greatest EFED moments. And like I said, in no particular order, any company, top 5 so far. I know you got a lot of them.
I mean, like, when you've been doing this thing for 20 plus years, you see a lot of different things. And it's kind of, there's a lot of the older stuff that I don't think would really. So, I remember there was a federation that I was a part of about 18 years ago called CZA. And there was a character there, basically a Raven ripoff, went by the name of Eric Draven. And
he's not with us anymore.
It was all like the written role plays, but he would get so into it with describing the places that he was in and everything. And
right.
Watching him elevate himself from like a mid-carder into the world championship picture, because he drew you into his written promos so well. To me, that's a big one.
Like I said,
no one now would
no longer with us.
know.
Right? He passed on, didn't he? I believe.
Then I'm obviously going to be a little bit biased towards some of the H.K.W. stuff, which is,
sorry about that.
When it comes to H.K.W., probably my personal favorite moment that I got to be a part of was when the EFED Elite turned heel. We had been working World's Most Wanted, who's an incredible group of guys. They had been a part of H.K.W. That's where they actually formed and started. And they were our top heel group. And, shit happens. And they decided to move on. They decided to all leave as a group together. And we were left in a position where we went, fuck, we don't have a top heel group anymore. We need to do something. And
who's going to say
roll? It was a
intro?
startling moment where it took the focus off of these guys leaving and that being the conversation and put it back on to what we wanted the conversation to be about. And so that was Rob Roman, over 300 days, over a year as champion. I think that's absolutely incredible, because that's Rob, to me, and I've told Rob this personally, he to me is one of the absolute best that I've ever seen do this. Like, I believe that Rob could get in, I could take Rob to a show with me and he could get in that ring and grab a mic and cut a promo in front of the people. Yeah. I believe that wholeheartedly. And I'm not trying to down on a lot of people that do the EFED thing, but that's not how I feel about a lot of people that do the EFED thing. A lot of a lot of the promos that I see seem to fall into one or two categories. Where you have this angry attitude, this at like a mid-card level, and you keep missing little points on promos that you should take advantage of, like knowing when to end a promo is something that I think a lot of people don't understand or don't. I mean, I shouldn't have to go Return of the King when watching your promo. It shouldn't be like, and here's an end, and here's an end, and here's an end.
Exactly. You can always feel the person about to end it, and then they're like, oh, what a finish, and then they add more onto it.
I really don't like that. I see a lot of people sit there and spend 2, 3, 4 minutes recapping what the promo that like came before them was. You know, if you cut a promo on me, if we're having a feud, if we're working a program and you cut a promo on me, then I expect that other people went and saw your promo. I can reference things, but I'm not going to tell people everything you did. That'd be a waste of my time.
I know somebody that does that, and we won't say his name, but he's been.
No, I think I might be thinking of the same person here. And to that person, I'm sure I have some heat, and I don't care.
I've told him before because he criticized my promos in promo, and I was like, dude, you got to look at it like this: Triple H and Randy Orton going up against each other at WrestleMania. Is Triple H going to come out and say, Randy Orton, your promo sucked because you didn't do this, 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 and this? No.
No. Like that's right, spot on. And you know, I think it's also important to make sure that you know what you're promoting. You know, the whole idea of a promo is it's a promotion. You're supposed to be promoting something, and sometimes what you're promoting is the anger and angst and whatever between you and whoever you're having the program with, because you're just trying to drum up that anxiety in your audience. But I mean, I remember Paul Heyman telling the story where he went out to the ring, cut this amazing promo. He thought he did absolutely great. Got back behind the curtain, looked at Arn Anderson, said, you know, what'd you think? And Arn goes, yeah, what show are they supposed to be tuning into? Because you didn't mention that at all. You didn't mention where they could get tickets. You didn't mention when the next show was, when the guy that you're managing is wrestling him. You didn't mention when this is going to be aired on television. And if you don't do those things, then you're doing yourself a disservice, because you're not doing a promo. You're just going out there and complaining at that point.
Talking shit, pretty much.
I remember I worked a program. I was supposed to be against an individual, and I don't want to call him out by name. But they decided to cut a shoot promo on me, and through the whole thing, they never mentioned our match once. And they never mentioned the show that we were going to be on, or even the company name. And I was like, then what's the point?
Yeah.
You just want me to like have a fight with you?
Yeah, I was about to say you can do that in the streets.
Yeah, exactly. I don't need that. That's not what I come here to do. I come here to put together a wrestling atmosphere product, you know, whether it's the podcast or H.K.W. or even just sitting down here with you. I want to talk about wrestling. I want to talk about or be doing what I love. You know, Alfonso said it, you know, we all have something in common. We all love this industry. I remember having a conversation with Eddie Farhat Jr., the Sheik's son. He straight up looked at me and goes, you can't do this if you don't love it. Like, how much have you made? How much, you know, he said there's only a handful of jobs where you can make a living off of doing this.
Right.
So you have to legitimately love it to go out there and do it. I've had broken bones. I had Sabu throw a fireball in my face, burn off my eyebrows. I've gone through tables. I've taken chair shots. It hurts
Yeah.
If you're thinking it's ketchup they put on their foreheads, no, it's fucking not. I kept a razor blade and a thing on my sleeve so that I could pull it out and hand it to guys on the outside so they could, like, that's the real business. And if you think those guys aren't tough as fucking nails and think they haven't gone through shit, then fuck off.
Yeah, I trained for a year with the Monroe family down here in Louisiana, Mid-South, Sputnik Monroe and Bubba Monroe. Legendary names.
Yeah.
And like I said, I could take the basic bumps and stuff, but just wasn't my size. It just wasn't in the cards for me.
So, I mean, as far as the top EFED moments goes, though, I mean, honestly, there's so many feds out there, and so many people that it's really hard for me to just narrow down.
What the last H.K.W. show?
I did, like I mentioned, the EFED Elite turning heel was a really big deal.
That was a 2-night show, right?
I'm sorry?
That was a 2-night show, right?
No. H.K.W. We never separated our shows over 2 nights. I know that New has done that with Rob Roman, and I'll tell you, as far as a moment goes, here, like, this is one that not a lot of people know about, but it's 100% true, and it goes into everything I was saying about Rob being an amazing promo artist. So World's Most Wanted, the group World's Most Wanted didn't originally include Rob. It was Cody Omega and Daniel Roberts and Cameron Lionhunter,
Corey,
and Hollywood Watkins, Julian Watkins, and that was the original
roll intro.
And they formed on a pay-per-view. They came together on one of our pay-per-view shows. We actually got Leo Rush to do a intro for us to introduce them. We were trying to make it a big deal. This is our big heel stable that we're going to be working on for the next several months. And I had asked Rob to cut a promo just for me that I was going to edit in at the beginning of the next Wednesday night show. So that was when we did our weekly show. And the promo that he sent back to me, it was about 5 minutes long, and he eviscerated the entire group of World's Most Wanted. If you remember that Rock moment where he's like, "I'm Billy," that whole thing, that's pretty much what he did to them in this promo, and I'm just like, oh fuck.
Good to many people.
Like, I'm actually sitting there going, fuck, I can't put this on the air. This will bury my team that I'm trying to build up. And I had to edit it down. Because, but that to me is a moment. Because if you as a promoter know that a promo is so devastating before it even ever goes out, that you have to censor it, that's saying something. That's taking it to a whole another level that I wish I could find it. I really wish I could find that promo that he sent me, because god damn, fire. Oh
yeah.
Our very last main event in HKW was Julian Watkins versus Rob Roman. And that was really special to me because, me and Evan and Chris Chaos, we're the guys who were at the top of this thing and doing the HKW thing. What I don't think a lot of people realize about HKW specifically is our biggest joy came when we got to see other people at the top, and we got to see the stars that we had built putting on these main events and people caring about what they're doing. And the Julian and Rob story we had started in the back in August of the previous year.
They were the Kings of
I'm sorry, my sound is kind of going out on my thing for some reason.
They were a tag team before. They were the Kings of
the Roman Kings.
Roman Kings, yeah.
Yeah. They're both absolutely incredible. And so to be able to give them an opportunity to feud with each other, because World's Most Wanted wasn't really a part of HKW at that point, so they didn't have to go back to that thing. They could just go on to this other story that they're working on. we had it start with we were gonna have a rumble, a Royal Rumble event where the world title was gonna be on the line, and Julian was a favorite to win it. And before the show, he got attacked by a masked man. Nobody knew who it was. Rob made his surprise re-debut in H.K.W. in the Rumble. Almost won it, too. And then over the next several weeks, Julian continued to be attacked by this masked individual who, in the end, he thought was Cameron, Logan Lionhunter. They were in Hell in a Cell, and Rob comes out, rips off his mask, and reveals it's him, and decimates Julian. And from that point, that was in October, so we'd started in August, we got into October, and from October until the following March, it was all about them. And
that sounds awfully familiar, because do you remember a character by the name of Vergus?
Yes.
In the MIW?
Yes.
That was a guy that was going after Rob Roman, but ended up trying to frame Julian Watkins, Hollywood Watkins, for it. Ended up being Darken Graves.
Mm-hmm.
The typical the White Scorpion storyline is what I call it. You know.
Say that again.
It's the Black Scorpion storyline.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I love.
It's one of the things that I really like about both Rob and Jeremy King Chaos. Both of them have worked with H.K.W. at different times in the past. Both of them have been members of our management team at different times and helped us write storylines. And one thing I can really appreciate about both of them is I've seen them both go back to things that worked in the real industry and go, okay, how can we twist this? How can we put our own spin on it? And I think that, that's a lot of what the actual industry is. There's very little originality in the professional wrestling industry. And really, you don't need a lot of originality, because the basic idea will always stay the same. There's a good guy, there's a bad guy, and they're going to fight. Simple as that.
When you get down to brass tacks, that's it.
So, yeah, that was real, but yeah, that was a really special match for me as a promoter to get to see finally come to fruition and to feel like it really mattered. The co-main event in that show was also very special to me, where Fiona Finn, Dragon Queen, won her first world championship, and that. So we had the H.K.W. title and the world title, kind of like they do with Raw and SmackDown, that were both held at the same level. And I thought that the match that they had was one of the best storied matches that I'd ever been able to put together. It was her, Blake Buchanan, and Zelzabar, the Dark Clown.
Yeah.
Zelzabar, in the end, he goes out to Blake Buchanan's stranglehold, and it's an elimination match. And so now it's Blake who has terrorized Dragon Queen for months and months. He injured her at one point; she was out for a while, and he gets that stranglehold on her, and he drops back, and you're just like, "Fuck, he's done." Like, she's done, and then she flips over backwards, still in the stranglehold, and holds him there for the 3 count.
Nice.
And it was one of these matches where you saw the first person who is more powerful, in essence, than Dragon Queen, and they go down to this thing. And you are just like, if this happens to her, then it's it's all fucked. And you wanted so badly to see her rise up and overcome all the adversary that she had. And when she did it, I popped. I popped knowing that I had edited and recorded this show. I still popped.
Right.
And So those are some of my
it had to be emotional for you.
Yeah, the last show legit made me cry. Like it's when you put that much time, and it doesn't matter what fed you're in. You put so much time and put so much of yourself into it that you're gonna have the feels when the doors finally close.
You know, I talked to King Chaos and I talked to Rob, even though we haven't always seen eye to eye, but for the most part, we're on good terms. And they told me about how they would use like 2 controllers at the same time. I'm like, wow. And all this different stuff. And I'm like, man, the production in this, you really have to know what they're doing to appreciate that so much work goes into 2K Feds.
When Rob put out a video on Facebook just shortly before New closed, like a week before New closed, where he discussed how much time went into putting together the shows and everything. And I sat there watching that video and I felt guilty because, and I'm not trying to knock other feds when I say this, but there was like this kind of level that H.K.W. we held ourselves to. We felt like MIW held themselves to in a lot of ways, where they're putting out a video product that's trying to look like a real product.
Right.
And that was the same mentality that I know that Rob had going into New. I know it's the same mentality that Daniel Roberts has for his show, PCW. And I know there are others. But I watched Rob, like, he's saying that he's putting all this time, and I'm just like, yes, that's exactly what I've gone through too. And a lot of people don't realize it. They don't understand how much time and effort goes into just getting them over, and that the person running the show, they're not really gaining anything from it. It's not like Rob or Jeremy or myself ever made money off of these shows. And we put 40, 50, 60-hour weeks at times in to making sure that our people have had a really good experience. And and feel like the superstars that they dream of being. Like, that's the whole goal with EFED, is to put yourself out there to become a star. And so if you're not doing that as a promoter, then get the fuck out of here.
I was in the AEW for 1 year, and I will say for 90% of the time, I loved it. It was cool. It was cool to see like all these moves that I had talked about years prior coming off the top rope. Louisiana Jam leg drop, a la Bobby Eaton, Alabama Jam. I actually got to see it happen. I actually got to see my entrance, and I really thought that was cool. And I loved working with Rob and Jeremy and Corey in creative. I was part of creative in AEW for a while.
Corey Hack, incredibly talented guy. I don't want to leave him out when I'm talking about.
But Corey's we might not be on the greatest terms, but I respect him. I respect everything he does.
So Corey is an interesting case with me, and I'm just being honest here. He took a line at one point. There was kind of a line in the sand drawn. He ended up on the opposite side of me. Cool, whatever. People have differences of opinions, but over the years, certain events have happened, and I have a lot of respect for Corey Heck. I might have, I think at certain points we've had a little bit of heat with each other, but I think very highly of Corey Heck. I think he has respect for me, even if we've chosen not to work together. It's
kind of the same.
So I don't want to leave him out at all.
Yeah, definitely don't want to leave him out. And I guess it is what it is at the end of the day. Let me ask you one question.
Yeah.
Before we get to, I was going to ask you if you're ready to dig your own grave, but let's talk about the tournament for a second.
The tournament? You want to talk about the tournament? Let's talk about the tournament.
Let's talk about Well, there's two matches that come to mind, and they're on each side of the brackets.
Okay.
First match, somebody that I'm very familiar with. I guess you'd say Amelia Eris taking on Crimson Wolf. This is
the other night, real talk. Chris Chaos and I, we sat down. He had a big whiteboard. We drew in all the brackets, and he had one color marker for me, one color for him.
You mean it wasn't computer generated?
Yeah, we're March Madnessing this whole thing. Just like, what do we think is going to happen? And there were three very specific matches, where Chris and I both went, this is going to be tough. Like, both of these people are so talented. And that was the idea behind the EFED Elite Tournament, was to bring in, to go out and get the most talented people we could, to bring them all to one place, and just to do this thing that I think deep down we all always wanted to do.
I love how y'all put this in the first round. But this could possibly have been a main event if one were on the other side.
Absolutely. And that's the thing, is there's so many so many of these matches could have been the main event. Rob Roman versus TCO could have been the main event.
That's the other one I was going to talk about too.
Okay. Hollywood. Toa and Sander Cool are now facing each other in a one-on-one match because Colton Christ Clark had to back out of the tournament due to personal reasons. I'm not going to divulge any of those. But it's nothing against him. We still got a lot of love for Triple C, and I just want to make that clear. Hollywood Watkins got moved down. We did a dice roll, just a random dice roll, and that was the choice. That was the one of the three that got moved down into Colton's place. Hollywood Watkins versus Blake Buchanan could have been a main event. There's some really, really talented people in this.
Yeah.
When it comes to Crimson Wolf and Amelia Eris, that might be the must-watch match of round one. There are three specific matches that I'm looking at in round one going, now,
I'm looking at
Chris and I made our bets, and I'm just going to tell, and you might be mad at me for letting you know what he picked. At the end of the day, he picked Crimson Wolf. And I can understand it. I'm not downing Crimson Wolf at all. As a matter of fact, I've watched him progress and progress and progress as a performer over the last several years, and I have a ton of respect for him, and I have a ton of respect for Chris's decision. But me, I went with Amelia Eris, and there is a reason why, and it's actually the reason that I'm not looking forward to round two. For me, after I beat,
you give me your reason, I'll give you mine.
Y'all know that's going to happen.
Well, I think.
Yeah. I think that women in this industry get looked down on. I think they get pushed to the side, even when they're out front and center. I think they're thought of as less. I think that's just the general opinion that people have going into these things. And the funny thing is, I think at the end, it actually gives the ladies the edge over the guys. Because the guy will come in and he'll be like, okay, well, I got Amelia Eris. It's a girl. I'm not going to put in the effort that I would otherwise. I don't need to go as hard. And then you'll see them, and they go hard. And one thing that I love about Amelia, absolutely love about Amelia Eris, is every single time that I've seen her, she's worked her character.
Yes.
She makes me believe in her character.
Oh, baby boy. Baby boy.
Yeah, exactly. So she to me is already a highlight. She is a big part of why I go and watch that results show, even though I'm not a part of that fed. Is because I think it's funny. and I'm not trying to down on her for that. It's not. I don't think she's a humorous character, but she's almost the straight man there.
She's entertaining. She knows how to put butts in the seats, so to speak.
And so I think all of that kind of comes together in the end, and so it comes down to one word for me, and that word is dynamic. I think she is a more dynamic and rounded performer than Crimson Wolf, because I feel like Crimson Wolf is locked into a gimmick that will end up limiting him, and I don't feel like she has that same restraint on her. So even though I both think they have incredible promo skills, and I think it's one of those matches that I can understand it going either way, and I think the judges are going to have a hard time with it. In the end, that's why I went with Amelia on that one.
And I'll tell you, I agree with you 100%. She just radiates confidence. She radiates, when you see her talk, she doesn't have to get loud. She doesn't get in front of the camera and screaming hard. She's methodical and very mysterious, but she speaks with so much confidence in herself and her abilities. She knows what she can do. She knows what she can do in the ring, and she makes you pack your own lunch. You better pack 2 or 3 lunches whenever you go up against her.
I can definitely tell you that if H.K.W. was still running, we'd be going and talking to her and seeing if we could convince her to come over, do some work for us. Just to be clear, we didn't really do that very much. You asked about Andre Splinter way earlier on the podcast. Andre came to us. We didn't go seeking other people out. He came and found us. He liked the show, so he asked if he could be a part of it. Mike James was the second person who did that with us, and I think a big part of it was because Mike was a part of Andre's Fed, which is called ECPW. Right. And they asked Evan and I to come over as a tag team, and they were over in HKW as a tag team. Their goal was to bury us. It did not go well for them. But it was a lot of animosity, and us, Evan and I, feeling like we needed to keep them in check. That's why the EFED Elite was actually formed.
Right. And
then we kicked them out of it and got better members, but that's how it was originally formed.
And one last thing about me, I don't want Julian to think we're sitting here kissing our ass, but I always say it's not kissing ass when you're telling the truth. Yeah, a lot of companies I'm sure have been interested in her. She's loyal.
Well,
as can be.
And I'm not saying that we would have been able to get her, but I am saying that we would have tried.
Yeah, then of course anybody would be lucky to have her.
Absolutely. And honestly, that's the way I feel about most of the people on this roster. Is that like any Fed would be lucky to have them because they're a talent. Like we spent hours putting together this list and deciding people that we wanted to throw that invite out to. I know your name was brought up as well.
Yeah.
Your name was brought up as well.
Well, and to clear some up, and I think I've told Evan this. He's probably told you this. I was very honored. I'm in the middle of a situation that's kind of.
It was that much was made clear to me, and you don't have to go into it. Corey Heck. I mentioned that I got a lot of respect for Corey Heck. Corey Heck told us he loves the idea. He wishes he could, but he's doing so many things right now that he's already feeling burnt out, and so he doesn't want to take another thing onto his plate. Jeremy King Chaos said, very much the same to us, and we respect that a lot. And we want people in this thing to succeed and to grow. And honestly, and this is just me being honest, if that first round match was Brian Mead versus Corey Heck, I don't want half-ass Corey Heck. I want devastating Corey Heck. I want every single. If you're out there and you're in the tournament, you better fucking listen. I want you to come for me.
It's fitting in the camera.
I expect you to come for me. Because I'm not going to go light on a single one of you. Not a single one of you is getting off. Oliver Titan, you better fucking listen. You are in a world of a bad position, my friend. Because as much as I like you, and I do like you. I've been put in a position where I apparently need to prove myself. Where I need to make an example of somebody. And it's you. You drew unlucky number 1. And I'm sorry. Deep down from the bottom of my hip, I'm sorry. Because what I do to you isn't going to be pretty. It's not going to be friendly. It's not going to be nice. You got me? Good. Sorry about that. Got to get a little... I had to get that off my chest.
You made me believe he was right behind me.
I just had to get that off my chest. I had to get that. I hope he's listening.
That actually says Hell Brothers, by the way.
Oh, does it? I can't quite see it behind you.
It's,
no, I know that you and Oliver Titan. Hell yeah.
It wasn't Oliver then, but yeah, me and Titan.
I know you guys. Former tag team. I don't know all the things, but
11 times.
If there's anything I can do, get you guys talking again. Real talk. I believe that when you're working a program with anybody, even if it's just a short one, go and talk to them. And real talk, I will be contacting you so we can make sure that we have some good.
Yeah, I've reached out to him. I'm just waiting on him to reach back out to me.
Sometimes it takes a while, but I really do believe being perseverant and putting out positivity in the world pays dividends. So
that's what y'all's podcast is all about.
I'm sure you guys will come back together.
That's what the Standards of Greatness podcast is all about, really.
It really is.
Being together.
What do I have to gain? You know, what Evan and I have nothing to necessarily gain from doing the podcast other than enjoyment and spending time with each other and bullshitting about wrestling, which we do enjoy.
Right.
But we have a segment every week where we go deep in on e-feds and an aspect of the business that we think people need to know about. I mean, just this week we were talking about how important it is to lose.
Right. Entitlement.
Yeah, and exactly. And there is a lot of entitlement and a lot of people who just think I'm king shit. I deserve that big title. H.K.W, one of the things I was really proud about was this belt right here. We didn't just give it to anybody. We took time, and with the exception of I hate saying this, and I'm not going to say who, 2 champions, one being political and one being a fluke. I really am proud of everybody that held that belt. Like deep down, I am proud of that legacy. I'm proud to put that belt up on my mantle.
Did you ship that belt out to?
So here, I'll get it down.
Yeah, let's get a good look at it.
What actually happened was Christopher Chaos.
Who made that?
As a gift to us, he purchased these belts for me, Evan, and himself.
Beautiful.
Got my EFED Elite, my personal EFED Elite logo.
Who made that?
EFED Elite logo. And then that was it was like my t-shirt, the Zero Fox to give. And the championship. And me, Evan, and Chris all have a championship belt. A real one that we get to put on our mantle. We've done a couple. Just last Christmas, we made these posters, full size posters of pay-per-views, 3 different pay-per-views. So everybody has a different show that they were.
I've been a part of a Wasteland pay-per-view. I took on David Jones in the main event of a Wasteland pay-per-view.
Oh yeah.
Who made that belt?
This was made by Muhammad of Royal Belts, which, honest to God, they make some of the best championship belts in the world. And I'm really honored to have this guy. So you wouldn't believe how heavy this damn thing is. Like,
I would.
Legit 10 pounds of gold, man.
Yeah. Awesome. And there was something else.
I know that you had. Wasn't there another match you wanted to ask me about?
Evan Jones and Ian King, the Scottish Warrior.
Ian King is the innovator of Scottish style, and
I gotta disagree.
At least that's the moniker that I've heard him go by.
I gotta say, James
Evan
Park,
Jones, the wrestling god. No, I preached a lot on Evan, and Evan is a good friend of mine. And I'm not just trying to be
I'm saying
biased here.
I'm saying James Park. I think James Park is the innovator of Scottish style.
Okay, you may have me. Yeah, I may be wrong. I only go by what Ian King told me when he came to H.K.W. That's how we build him. But Evan, I have worked with in so many different capacities, and I've seen him go out and work in so many different capacities. This is not me being biased towards a friend of mine. And I'm friends with Evan. I do a fucking podcast with him every week.
Right.
I've known him for like 20 years. But Evan's going to go further than Ian King is. Ian King's going to sit down in his living room and he's going to cut a promo and it's going to be decent. He might get really into it. I'm not saying that Ian King is bad. I'm really not. But all right, I had a Hell in a Cell match with Evan. Okay.
Right.
And the promo that Evan sent me is him standing behind a chain link fence, rattling it, and making me feel like he's already in that cage waiting for me. That's an amazing feeling. That's an amazing kind of promo. And Evan is willing to go that little bit extra for his promos. That I've never personally seen Ian King do. So if I have to pick, going in blind, Evan.
I saw Ian King come out behind the computer one time, and that was at an NEW event that I made a video for called Hell or High Water. And that was where me and Corey Heck and Jay Fatal had the triple threat storyline where I kidnapped Big Bad Judy. And Ian King had a hell of a promo where he was just walking through a tunnel. And I was like, why don't you do more of that?
Mm-hmm.
Never saw more of that.
I really think that your environment that you create for yourself, as well as the presentation of yourself that you put forward, some people will make sure to get that paint on their face. Somehow I think you know something about that.
Only for pay-per-views. Or for re-debuts.
I made sure today to get dressed up for you. To make sure to have my belt here, on the show for you.
I appreciate it.
When you put that little bit extra into your character, it makes people believe your character. You showed in that little video package you put up at the beginning of the show, me standing on top of a ladder. Just that environment, just watching me come up at the beginning and seeing me come into the frame this way as opposed to this way, it changes the feeling that you get. And I really, really wish more people would take a couple of minutes to think about the environment that they're putting out there. Because if you just do this thing, and also this is just another little thing for me. You see this thing behind me?
Yeah.
You know what this is?
Yeah.
It's a green screen.
I was about to ask you if you preferred a green screen or a natural.
So I have done green screen work, but in my opinion, green screen is not the way to go. You're better off doing something natural. To me, it's the basic difference between CG and like using models in movies. You know, that tangible stuff is always going to be a little bit, yeah.
I flip it
And
around.
I do think that there is a time to use a green screen. What I used to really like using the green screen for was I would put I would make a backdrop with you know, maybe some brick or you know, a curtain look or whatever, and then I put the pay-per-view logo on top of it, so it looks like I'm at the show now that we're doing this for, and that gives the environment, that gives the ambiance. I'm overlaying a slight, you know, low track of fans cheering or whatever.
I like
I'm trying to make you believe that what I'm doing is legit.
Right.
And if you're not willing to go that extra distance, then you're going to have a hard time with a guy like Evan Jones.
Right. And that green screen I just showed you, when you flip it around, it's a blue screen on the other side. And
I can't do a blue screen. You know, I can't. I just disappear in a blue. I'm nothing but a tie.
This would be some advice for, and I hate this phrase because the phrase dark character, because I get thrown into that and I think of myself, I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but I think of myself as more having more ability than your normal dark character. But if you're a dark character and you use dark colors, a blue screen is the way to go.
I can understand that 100%. Okay, generically dark characters in terms of EFED and in terms of indie wrestling are way overdone.
Yeah, I agree.
And that is true, because, and I think a big part of that is because with those characters, on the big stage, when you're seeing a Kane, an Undertaker, the Fiend, or whatever, they are such a different presence than anything else on the show. The reason the Undertaker gimmick got over was because everything else on the show was fucking neon.
Right.
You know, if you were to bring a dark character, like a truly dark, scary, embodied character like the Undertaker, the Fiend, into NXT right now, they'd get over. They'd get over spades.
And I do appreciate y'all mentioning me in those 5. Y'all mentioned about 5 dark characters that can actually pull it off, and y'all, I appreciate the hell out of that.
It's true. It's true, man, because when you have the dark characters, this is the real thing. If you're out there and you're playing a dark character, please listen. Generically dark. That's the other part. It's not one word. It's 2 words. It's, if you're playing a character that is generic and just does the bare minimum and just goes along this line, you are not setting yourself apart. It's the same thing. I wasn't setting myself apart as the Archangel, so I became the Alpha Angel. I wasn't setting myself apart calling myself a manager, so I became a legal advisor. You're not gonna set yourself apart as a dark character in an EFED world unless you really put something into that. And that's the difference. It's effort.
Yeah.
You put effort into what you do. Zalzabar put effort into what he did. I don't know if you saw him.
Scabs.
If you've seen him, I talked about him a little bit. Scabs on our last show. He puts effort into what he's doing, and it's different. But if you're just coming out here going, I'm wearing black and I'm scary and I'm going to beat your ass, I'm going to look at you and go, yeah, so is everybody else.
This man right here, my mentor, Ethan Carnage.
Yeah.
Jason Sanders.
Honestly, if I'd come across him earlier, I probably would have suggested him for the tournament. I think, actually, no. I think he was brought up for the tournament, but I had to dip out for a little while during that conversation, so I don't know everybody even.
One of the guys that not a lot of people can say they've actually wrestled Mr. Perfect, Kurt Hennig in the ring. Pretty cool thing.
Yeah, definitely.
And of course, Doomsayer, William Crow. William Crow, you'll see. I'm sure you're familiar with William. Necro.
What's that?
William Crow.
One more time.
William Crow.
William Crow. I haven't had the pleasure, unfortunately. And I think that's, part of the problem with both Indie and EFED is there's so many people out there doing it that it's really easy to overlook someone that's absolutely great. That was kind of why I was afraid, not afraid. I was hesitant about the top greatest EFED moments, because the truth is for as much as I love H.K.W. moments, I know for a fact that there are a ton of moments in a ton of feds that I never got to see, hear about, be a part of. But I know that for those individuals, they were impactful and they were important. Jay Fatal held the new championship for a straight year. Before Corey Heck beat him, and that's a pretty big moment. I had overlooked it until just now because there are so many just across the board. There's so many, and I think that what is great about EFED is I feel like it moves at twice the speed of regular wrestling, and so we have the opportunity to do more.
I always say EFED is like dog years.
Yeah.
It really one year equals 7. Brian, we're gonna get you out of here on this one. You ready? You ready to dig your own grave?
Uh-oh.
You bring your shovel.
I've been waiting for this. I knew you got this. Okay, let's do this thing. Hit me.
I got about 10 names off the top of my head, and I'm going to try to make it as painless as I can for you.
No, make it painful. Make it hurt.
Well, let's start off easy. Rob Roman.
Rob Roman? One of the best.
David Jones.
Squid. I hate saying that. Like I legit feel bad, but you want the honest, like, first thing that comes to my head. David Jones sounds so much like Davy Jones. And I've always kind of felt like you either lean in harder or you find like a moniker to put in the middle there or something there. And that's just a personal opinion. That would, and that's one of those, I think we all give each other advice. And if I had a piece of advice for him, it would be Davey Hitman Jones. All of a sudden, I don't think about that anymore. I'm not saying be the Hitman. I'm just using that as an example.
Right.
Justin Klein.
Asshole.
He would appreciate that too. He would appreciate it.
Justin Klein, we had wanted to come, he'd come to HKW, he wanted to be a part of HKW. I honestly love his gimmick. His gimmick is legit. But if you don't know when to put your gimmick to the side so you can be a real person and talk about business.
You mean backstage messenger,
Yeah. So
I've always preached this. If messenger, if you're going to be in character messenger, then where is it that you can be OOC at? Where's the safe? I mean,
yeah, exactly. And we need to be able to work together because sometimes those lines do get crossed and we don't mean to, and we need to have a place where we can go, hey, I really don't want you to talk about my wife. If you could leave that out of this, if you could leave my kids out of this, I'd appreciate it. You know what I mean?
Right. Chad Bartlett.
Tough.
Yeah.
Just tough.
Hollywood Watkins.
One more time.
Hollywood Watkins.
Champion. Hollywood Watkins exemplifies to me what a champion in EFED is, and my dog's going crazy.
I agree. Maximilian Christabel.
Overrated. It's not. All right, so I'm probably going to get some heat for this one. But I've watched Max's show lots of times, okay? And I'm not even saying that I'm not a fan, but I think there's a... Excuse me for just half a second. This is driving me nuts.
It's my backstage people not doing their job.
All right, let him come back out here with me. He'll be happier. Good puppy. Hey, the boy.
I gotta fire somebody after this for
so so sorry, we were talking about Max. Hi, yeah, you want to be on the show too. The first thing about Max's podcast that always pisses me off, no barking, be quiet, is that I don't feel like he comes in prepared. When you and I talked about doing this podcast today, you laid out the how it was all going to go down. You were calling me up like, hey, I'll hit you up 15 minutes before we're ready to start things off and all this. You were in communication with me, and we started things off on time. Every week when Evan and I do the podcast, we come together at the same time every night. We have about an hour discussion about the things that we want to hit in the episode, and then we go into it.
Basic format.
When I watch his show, I feel like it's a whole bunch of people who aren't organized, that are talking about whatever random thing they want. And then, if I were to really be honest about it, I've spent a lot of time in this industry. I've heard from real people. I've talked to Sabu, that we talked earlier. I sat there and had conversations with Balls Mahoney. I sat there and had conversations with Kevin Sullivan. I sat there and had conversations with Jerry Lynn. I sat there and had conversations with Hogan, and so many that I could just keep going on and on for more than you have time for. But every one of them was about helping you and teaching you something else, because they knew. Because they'd gone down that aisle, because they'd gotten in that ring, because they'd had experiences with those fans, good, bad, or indifferent. And so they had something to give. But I don't feel like Max is in a position where he has something to give. And on top of that, I think he has a poor business model. I feel like he brings in a bunch of people to try and get his product over
from Cameo,
as opposed to doing the work to get his product over. And I wish nothing but the best for him, but that's my observation.
Do you think those guys are from Cameo? Do you think he pays Cameo?
Yeah, I do. And you know what? And I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm not saying that it's wrong to go on to Cameo and to get somebody for your show. We had tons of cameos that we got for H.K.W. And I'm not upset by that, but it's about how you use them.
If you advertise it as they're under contract for your Fed.
If a superstar, if a wrestling superstar comes on and says, hey, tune in this week to watch End of the Cemetery Gates with your host, Darken Graves. Right. I love that show. If that's what they're saying, that's something that you can use over and over and over and over. It's worth your money. You're actually getting value out of the money that you put into it, because they're putting your show over. So now that person is bringing you in the views and bringing you in the people, just like Fonzie was talking about earlier. Like he straight up said, I don't want to do something in a week. I want to do something in a couple of months after we've had time to get it out there and build it.
Yeah. And plus, you get the joy of talking to Fonzie for a month.
Yeah, exactly. So if you have somebody that's coming out to put over a product or a show that you can use in advertising for a long time to come, then I think it's worth the money to go with Cameo. If it's just, and if you're just doing it long enough to get somebody to go, hey, my name is Brian Cage, and fuck Brian Mead because he wears a tie and I hate that guy. Like, you're just trying to get it over in a promo or something. That's a waste of time. It's a waste of your money.
I'm sadly going to have to retire the Father James Mitchell promo.
And honestly, if you have to pay someone on Cameo multiple times to come over and be a competitor on your show's not going to get over. And here's why. Because they're not going to be there all the time. You don't get to depend on them. And you sure as fuck can't legitimately make them lose. That's not going to be believable. So what are your options there? I'm going to bring in Mick Foley. We'll say Mick Foley. He's going to come on to H.K.W. and I'm going to wrestle Mick Foley. What are my options here? To get beat up and lose. So now I look like a lesser star on my own show to the guy who's not going to be here next week. Or I go over on this guy who then, let's be real here, they weren't the level you brought them in at to begin with.
Yeah. I had a cup of coffee in ex-VPW and had a feud with Brian Pillman Jr. And I told a legit story about how I met his dad when I was 5 years old. And I was telling him all this stuff. And then I get back a promo where he's obviously reading off a piece of paper.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, well, don't get me wrong. I respect Brian Pillman Jr., hell of an athlete. But you could just tell it was.
I talked to several superstars, wrestlers, big names, and got cameos from several of them. I've had personal interactions with several more. So only, I'd probably say 25% of our stuff came from Cameo. But of all the guys who I worked with on Cameo, I'll straight up say, hands down, the best was Santino Marella.
Really?
And you wouldn't necessarily think of Santino as being, but he like came on. He's like, do you want me to do Santino? Do you want me to do Santina? Do you want me to, he actually in the cameo that he made us, he actually messed up and said things in like a way that it didn't work. It wasn't going to work for what we need to use it for. And I messaged him back and I said, hey man, I really appreciate this and how fast you got it back to me, but this isn't what we were trying to do. And he messaged me back the next day. I'm so sorry. Let's talk about this. Send me your phone number. And I sent him my phone number. He called me up and we talked about it. And he, I didn't realize that you were an EFED. I didn't realize that you were, trying to put on a WrestleMania level show. And that's why you were bringing in a superstar. Let me make this a big deal for you. And we ended up opening the show with it because he put so much into it. And and that's the hard thing with Cameo is most of the time you're not going to get that because they don't care. They're there for a quick 20, 30, $50.
Another good name, Dalton Castle. He's done 4 for me.
Oh, Dalton Castle's a great guy.
Yeah. WWE
just a genuinely good guy. There, that's my say Dalton Castle. Genuinely good guy.
Yeah. He did one for me in NEW. He's done one for me in IW. He's done one for the show. He's great. Because he's an EFED wrestling fan as well.
I'm actually I've been amazed since I started H.K.W. and I talk about it with some of the boys and show them to see just how many of them are actual fans. To hear that they come back and they watch our shit because they already know their shit. You know what I mean? They want to know what the fans actually feel and think, and I think they get a lot more of that from EFED.
Vince Russo, he's not quite the fan of EFEDs.
Is that the next one I'm supposed to respond to? Vince Russo?
Yeah, we can throw his name out there. Vince Russo.
All right, bro. My answer there is bro.
I'm looking for it right now because I would like to play you a piece of it because it is funny as hell. It's one we couldn't use because I don't know if it was his New Jersey accent or what it was, but he couldn't say the name Necro. He kept saying Necro, and it kind of ruined the whole thing. And maybe I can't find it, but
that just gets to a level where it sounds inappropriate. Or you think you're gonna offend somebody?
Yeah. Just a couple more here. Thomas Austin.
Did you say one? I didn't hear you, sir.
Thomas Austin.
Eloquent anger.
That's a good way to put that. I never heard it put like that before. That's it. I agree with that. The last one that you may not know this guy. This is going to throw you for a loop. Brian Mead.
Jerk. Absolute jerk. A piece of shit. No, if you're asking me what I really think of myself,
The character or
the Alpha Angel character, deceitful would be my answer. I don't.
How about as a family man?
As a family man, like, my family is the most important thing in my entire life. And if you really want to know why H.K.W. shut down, the real reason H.K.W. shut down was because I wanted to spend more time with my family. And that's the 100% truth of it.
There's nothing wrong with that at all. I see. Who is this?
This is Mocha. This is Mocha, my dog. He's a good boy. He's a boxer pug mix.
Beautiful.
And he's super loving. And honest to God, he crawls under the comforter and sleeps up against my leg every night. Can
you take a bump?
Right, you good boy. All right, can you get down, please? Okay, down.
I had the animal trainers outside to take good care of him. But
yeah, I love him. He's my buddy. He's my always friend. He's always happy with me.
So speaking of happy, man, I have really thoroughly enjoyed this tonight. I mean, we've been going for 3 hours. What I'm probably going to do, I'll split this in two.
Hey, Darken, anytime, man. I'm happy to come on here and talk shit with you. Literally anytime. I've had a really good time. Thank you for putting me together with Fonzie, and definitely have to get him on the Standards of Greatness. That'll be a good time.
For one thing, I didn't know that he was going to call back, and I didn't know that he was going to stay on for as long as he did.
Yeah, that was pretty shocking to me too.
If you will, after we sign off, stick around for about 30 seconds, and I'll get you that info.
I appreciate that.
But I always like to do this. Last word, if you want to plug anything at all, or last words, the floor is yours.
Okay. Well, every Thursday we come out with a new episode of the Standards of Greatness podcast. Our goal is always to build you up and to bring you up. If you have a show that you want to get over, let us know, because we want to put you over. That's always what's more important to us, is getting what's out there to you. And for everybody that's in the EFED Elite Tournament, sorry about your damn luck.
Thank you, Brian. I appreciate you joining me.
Absolutely. Anytime. I'll see you later.
All right. And that was the Alpha Angel, Brian Mead. And that guy's a class act right there. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Class fucking act. For Brian Mead, for Bill Alfonso. Crazy. My name is Darken fucking Graves. And all Darken's people always say, fucking men. See you next time.